Hello, wonderful people. Hello, wonderful person in chat. Welcome to a new episode of Lisa's Lair. I am your wonderful host, Lisa. Howdy! Hello, Perfect Serenade. How's it going, everyone? Today is a very special episode, not because we have another awesome dorky guest, but we actually have a returning sponsor. Hello, Space Dust IPA. Shout out to Elysian Brewery. They sponsored, I believe, the first 10 streams we had of this, and then they renewed because they loved us so much, and they loved sending me 14 cases of Space Dust IPA. We've worked with them for a while now. Last year we did some awesome events. We did some cool streams. I've made some silly drinks. And we did the open spaces, so I'm really happy to have them again. And it's great because now all of our guests get free beer too, since we don't pay them. So anyways, welcome everybody. Thank you for being here. If this is your first time watching the show, which it probably isn't, because I think only the people I know watch the show, this is my bi-weekly show on Evil Genius's Twitch channel. It's the only show on Evil Genius's Twitch channel. And I interview all sorts of awesome people in the gaming industry or comedians, artists, and we just sit down and we have a chit chat for 2 hours, and now we get to drink some awesome beer. So yeah, howdy everybody. Now that I've done my quick intro, let's bring out my guest this week, who is an incredibly awesome dad. He is the jack of all trades at IGN and has done literally everything I want to do and want to do. So let's bring out our guest today, Mr. Brian Altano. Hello, yay!
Hello.
Hello,
So good
yay.
to see you. Thank you for having me. Shout out to Elysian for taking care of us today. They sent me beer. That is awesome. That is the fastest way to get me to do a show is be like, hey, there's beer on your front steps. They delivered it to me this morning at like 9:15, and the lady who brought it to me was like, have a great morning. Like I had to get started right then and there.
Mondays, am I right?
Exactly. It's good to see you, Lisa. Thank you so much for having me. This is going to be very fun.
I love how excited you were to do the show.
Yeah, of course. I love doing shit like this. This is not part of like a bigger, grander event. You know, this is not part of like Summer of Gaming or
no one's watching this. So
Summer Games. Yes. Like this is I met you at San Diego Comic-Con, and you walked in to this like massive production studio with like 600 people, and I was like, shh, keep it down, Patrick Stewart's here. It was fucking stressful.
And so then I was like, I just want some coffee.
Yeah, you're like, I don't give a shit, can I steal snacks? And I was like, yes, of course. So I love doing stuff like this. This is a nice commercial break between all of the big silly things I have to do.
Stressful things.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a pretty stressful person, but that's why no one watches the show. So thank you for being here. I'm sorry.
Are you stressful?
No, I'm not. I'm just always anxious.
That means you're I guess that means you're stressed, right? Like stressful means you're like pushing it on other people.
You want to know something very interesting about that is like and this is kind of I think I've mentioned this on my stream before, is that like I had a pretty rough like few years, and things have been really good in this last year, which has been kind of hard for me to get used to. And so my anxiety got worse because like I don't like things. Something bad needs to happen. It just needs to. And right before PAX weekend, somebody like hit and ran my car, and like I just had like this huge relief. I was just like, oh, thank God, that was the one bad thing. Now things can be good again. That's how my anxiety works.
you had imposter syndrome that was cured by a car accident.
Yeah. Like so I mean, my car's gonna get fixed. Like it's still drivable. I just have a mirror taped on with some duct tape. But like that's how I knew I needed therapy. Is I was like, oh, I just need something bad to happen, and then I'll feel better. And they're like, that's not how people should be thinking. But I get it, I guess. So
I got well, I didn't get in it. I was in an Uber in Cologne, Germany 2 weeks ago, and the dude was just like, you ever been in a car that you know is gonna crash into something, but you're not driving it? And you're just kind of like, all right, here we go. Like I think everyone in the car except for the driver was like, car accident time. And so he just like sped up through a red light. The guy in front of him slowed down, and he just smashed into the back of his car. And I was with my co-host and friend Max Scoville, who you met. And we were
Great
going to,
guy.
yeah, we were going to a toy we were going to a toy store in Germany. So it wasn't like an important, we weren't like, oh fuck, we're gonna be late. Like it was like it's a toy store. We're gonna be the oldest people there. Doesn't matter. And so the guy crashes into another car and in front of him and just gets out and they just start screaming at each other in German. And we had this moment where I look over and I was like, we don't have to be in this car anymore. We can, it's not our car. We can just leave. So
I
we just got up and walked out. It was like walk across the street in Germany. I'm like, all right, well, have fun, you guys. And then Max got this notification on his phone that was like, how was your Uber ride? And he was like, 0, dude. Like, not very bad, not good.
I had a cab driver in Taiwan. And I mean, I don't know how. I mean, I know you've been to Asia, but I don't know if you've been to like Taiwan, more like
I've only been to Japan. Like
Japan. Yeah.
I've never been to Taiwan.
It's a completely different vibe, I'll say. Like any like Southeast Asian-ish country, it's like no traffic, anything. Like it's like there's people walking in the highway, and I'm like, how are people not dying all the time? We had a cab driver who hit a woman on her like little moped
Oh
and like
man.
picked it up and dragged it in the bushes and started yelling at her. He gets back in the car pissed off and goes, "Third time this week." He shooed her away too.
Wait,
Like
so
she
what got dragged in the bushes? The moped
like
or
the
the woman?
moped, he like picked it up and then he like shooed her away. And like she was like fine. And she was like, "What the fuck, dude? Like you hit my bike." And then he gets in the car, he's like, "Third time this week." I was like, okay.
How
And then
man? And yeah, at that point, it's like it's not anyone else's fault but yours, dude.
it was great. I'm glad we're starting off this stream with some car accident stuff.
Yeah, that's what you gotta open up a little car accident comedy. Make people feel better about.
I actually, okay, this is another funny thing
Shout
about
out to
cars.
anybody watching the show from a car accident right now. This is
Someone
for you.
watching Star Trek, they're watching the stream instead, or Star Wars, they're watching a stream instead. Our producer was a little late to our tech check because he watched somebody get in a car accident that was watching Star Wars on their phone. So that
Yeah.
was, I don't do that.
No.
But I actually I had my car insurance renewed and I wanted to get a discount. And this was like 3 days ago. My car insurance like, well, you can download this app that tracks like your mileage because I don't drive a lot because I, work from home and travel so much. And she was like, yeah, it just tracks your mileage. And then at the end of the month, if you are under 1,000, like you'll get a discount. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. But what I didn't know is that it gives you a driver rating. And like,
Oh.
and I had a drive and it gave me a 73%. And I was like, that's fucking bullshit. And it said that I accelerated too much and broke a little too much times. But I didn't have any phone distractions. So it was great. But I actually called my insurance and told them it was bullshit. I was like, I am a good driver. I'm at least an
how did it know?
85.
Yeah, how did it know all that? Like that's
It's
fucking
like,
crazy.
it says it's by Bluetooth. Yeah, look, 73%. It's such bullshit.
Hey, look, see, like
I'm a great driver, okay?
C's get degrees, right? Isn't that what they say? So like
Yeah.
you'll get in a driver college. Like you won't be you're not gonna get like any scholarships or anything, but you'll get it.
They'll be like, this is why you should drive less than 1,000 miles a month, Lisa, is that you're only 73% good at driving. I'm like, that's great. Thanks, State Farm. Shout out to you, not our sponsor. Anyways, so yes, way back to what we were talking about earlier about how we finally met in person at San Diego Comic-Con. It was a great time.
It was.
I wish we got hung out more, but you were incredibly busy.
That was that was it's like 8 days packed in a 48 hour. I don't know, I was there for 5 days. We were live for 2 days. It's a whole thing, but I'm glad we got to catch up.
Oh yeah, because we've been friends on the internet for like
a couple years now.
More than that, because I was friends with you before I started streaming.
25 years now.
25. We've been friends since I was a baby. It's crazy.
Yeah, when the internet first came out, you and I were invited to the internet headquarters to try out the pilot program, and we were the first.
Yeah, like, we were the first ones ever.
They're like, Al Gore was there. He's like, we got to get some kids to kick the tires on this thing, see if it works.
Well, what's so funny is, so I want to say in like 2014 or 15, like way before I used Twitter, I saw you and Max do an IGN panel at PAX.
You were there?
Yeah.
Shit.
It must have been like 2004. And I went to your guys' like after party at like some bougie ass bar in Belltown.
This was in Seattle?
Yeah.
No shit.
This was years ago. I mean, I'm pretty sure you were there. I know Max was there. I was like, who's this tall nerd with a leather jacket? I just remember saying that. Yes. But
Yeah.
and then when we became friends, I was like, "Oh my god, I remember I said the IGN bros." Which has
That's
been really
us.
cool. Yeah, it's been really cool. Like, you know, I've been doing stand up for like I'd say maybe 8.5 years now, and
Hmm.
you know, I've been really lucky to. I feel like stand up is probably the easiest way to like meet like I guess more well known people in
Hmm.
comedy because like once you start doing stand up, you go to any comedy show for free,
Yeah,
basically at a
it's
club.
easily the easiest way to meet like depressed people outside of like
Oh yeah.
going to like a specific place where they gather.
And a
You know.
lot of them are just terrible people too, which I realized, like, "Oh, no, you're not funny on a you're just gross, okay, and humor is your thing, that's good."
Right.
And, like, it's always been like, "Oh my god," like, I'm so lucky to, like, get to work with, like, all these amazing people, and then I started streaming, like, 2 years ago, and I feel like, you know, knock on wood, bless my heart, like, I mean, you, Anthony, just a bunch of people that I've, like, admired from a distance for a while, and then I meet them and I'm like, "Oh my god, these are all like now I'm like friends with these people. I'm
Yeah. No,
becoming one
it's
of you." Pretty
I
sure I
mean
will get my chest hair to grow underneath my dad shirts and
that's how it works when you this is every one of these is for each friend that I've ever made. They just one grow.
one hair for every gamer.
Just one hair for
Where did you get that shirt though? I have to ask.
I think I got it at a Nordstrom a couple years ago. So I was doing a shoot in Florida, and I don't usually I know you saw me wearing a bunch of shirts like this on camera in San
Yeah,
Diego.
it's great.
I'm usually like a I usually dress like I black t-shirts and like, you know, that whole just kind of like dark art school. I went to like art school in New York and I was just like,
Yeah, you dress like a white guy that's learning how to rap. I know.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
thank
you know.
damn. As white guys who learn how to rap say, ethered. Good work.
Yeah.
Um, but
It's not an insult. I mean, that's
no,
usually
I'll
how
totally take it.
90% of people I know dress like you, so it's okay.
Mhm.
I dress
Yeah,
like you too, so it's okay.
I know. So I started wearing these shirts because when you do stuff on camera, there's all these like very specific rules of like no logos, no really tight patterns and stuff like that. And after a while, just like wearing just like black leather jackets and black jean jackets and black t-shirts, it got kind of like old after a while. And I was like, I'm presenting stuff that's like fun, right? Like I'm like talking to people I admire and
Yeah.
I'm having a good time and I'm like presenting the idea of like this is largely frivolous entertainment. It's escapist media. We're covering video games and pop culture and TV and movies. Like let's let's kind of like meet the pace here and meet the expectations and just kind of have a little more fun with it. And with that, I was just kind of like, I'll start dressing like kind of like an idiot a little bit. Get a little stupider
Hey,
with it. Yeah,
it's fun, you know,
it's
like,
fun.
I either dress like a dad or a slut and nothing in between, like, that's normally my fashion, you know?
Hmm.
But, like, I started streaming in, like, the button-up shirts and just kinda made my whole personality around that, but the problem is a lot of these are silky, and I'm a sweaty gamer, so I can't just
Right.
wear them for 5 hours a night, otherwise I would. But it's the same thing with comedy, it's like anytime someone has, like, a comedy special, especially dudes, it's just, like, bomber jackets.
Hmm.
Bomber jackets and denim, and yeah, I'm also trying to spice things up. I think that's actually why I got colored tattoos is because I usually dress so boring, and I need something to stick out, so I was like, "Maybe the more of the rainbow I have on my body, the more plain I can look like in my fashion,"
Yeah,
you
I think
know?
when I met you the first time, you were dressed like in all black stuff. Like you were just like, but when I've seen like your comedy stuff and like you dress like an undercover cop, like you have a you have a baseball hat and the glasses on, and you're just like, hey, here's some jokes about weed, and it's like that's a cop.
Also dress like a SoundCloud rapper sometimes too, though, so it's okay, you know?
But we were doing this shoot in Miami. Well, it wasn't. We had to fly to Miami. The shoot itself was like an hour from there, real actual Florida, right? With like real. We did this shoot with real alligators, and which is something a SoundCloud rapper would say. Uh, you have to go to Miami to do the shoot with real alligators.
She's like
Um, and so I was about to fly there, and my co-host Max is he's been wearing like floral like the big fucking Hawaiian shirts. Like I never really got super into like the ones with like the flowers all over and stuff like that.
real
That's always his.
actual Florida.
Yeah, yeah. And I was always just like, that's not really my style. We have this kind of Goofus and Gallant thing going on. And so for that trip, I was like, I'll wear a couple of like fun, silly, stupid shirts because like you don't want to be depressed around alligators, like they can tell,
Yeah,
right?
they can tell. They can
They'll
smell the depression,
yeah, they'll
you know?
eat you. I
Oh,
think
he's
they'll
sad.
fucking
I'll
eat you.
step at his feet. It's
Yeah. I'll just grab his leg and roll him until
That's
everything
because most
breaks.
people in Florida don't have any feelings. So they see someone with feelings,
That's
they're like, "This person's not from here. I have
that's
to
true.
teach them the ways," you know?
Exactly. And so like I wore some silly shirts there on camera, and I was just kind of like, hey, I dig this. I'll brighten it up a little bit. So ever since then, I've tried to make it a point for like special events, like not special events, like not like funerals or weddings.
Lisa's Lair.
Yeah, like your show, Comic-Con, Gamescom, stuff like that. Like I'll do if someone dies, I won't wear this shirt. Then I wear the black, depressing clothes.
I say it's like in style, but I also know this is how my dad dressed when
Hmm.
he was in his 30s and 40s. So I think we're just getting old.
Yeah, I think no, you totally nailed it.
Like, have you like I still, when I can get away with it, shop in the junior section at some places because it's cheaper usually and like
How do you get you're taller than me. How do you get away with
yeah,
that?
well, regular shirts are just crop tops, you know? It's
Oh,
just
right.
but also 90% of the time I wear men's shirts and like younger men's stuff fit like girls' shirts. There's a whole system involved when
Of
you have
course, of course.
lots of limbs. But but it is very funny because I will like go into those junior sections and be like, is this what kids are wearing these days? Ew. And then I go to like Kohl's and be like, I'm gonna shop at Kohl's now. And I'm like, I think I'm just getting old, actually.
Do you like are you in the Kohl's kids section?
No, like if I go to Nordstrom, like the Nordstrom's junior section, and also what's very funny is everything now is like 90s
Right.
style. Like that
Right.
came back, which to me is like to me that's like if someone called Nirvana classic rock. Like you're making me feel old by bringing out fashion that was here like 20 years ago
Yeah.
and calling it vintage. I don't want to hear that shit.
I totally you'll see like a 3-year-old kid in like a Nirvana shirt and you're like, you don't know pain, you weren't there when Cobain shot himself in the head, like that was dark for us. The Kohl's, for people who don't understand, okay, I'll put it this way. Imagine you have 3 friends and none of them are doing great, right? Like they're like they're all just varying degrees of like one of them just got divorced and the other one just like lost custody of his kids, and the other one is just like rock bottom drug addict.
Imagine that in
Yeah.
fashion.
So yeah, that's Kohl's, Marshalls, and TJ Maxx. So Kohl's
All
is
of
the
them.
one. Yeah, Kohl's is like
They
so.
are the Olive Garden and Red Lobster of clothes. Like that's what they are.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
funny.
Kohl's
I
is like functional, like they're like it's okay. Things are bad, but it's okay. They're
Yeah,
looking
but
forward to the
Kohl's
future.
cash, man. You
Yeah.
get those under. You do get. I will say. So my dad is like 6'4". Like
Uh-huh.
he's a big guy. So I have to buy like his sweatpants from Kohl's to get the big and tall. So,
You
but
have to
yeah,
buy you mean you have to buy his sweatpants?
like if for like birthdays and stuff, because he's old. That's all he wants is sweatpants and and Barnes and Noble gift cards. That's all old men want. They don't want
That's
anything
true.
else. And so like I have to go to Kohl's, but they also sell Hawaiian shirts now.
Right.
And like they have cool ones. They had like a Legend of Zelda one, and I was like, I want this shirt, but I'm not purchasing it here. I will not sink this low.
So if you wait 6 months, it'll be on a rack at Marshalls, and if you wait 6 months after that, it'll be on the floor at TJ Maxx.
If you
Because
wait a week, it'll be 70% off at Kohl's,
that's true.
actually.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
That's
all
the
their
that's the slope
discounts.
though. Like have you've been at TJ Maxx's where you're just like, are you okay? Like
Well, so like I used to work for 10 years I don't know how familiar you are with the Northwest, but I worked at a store called Fred Meyer.
I
And it's
know
like
about it. Yeah.
it's like a Kroger's. It's okay, like not to be biased, it's the best Kroger because it's a grocery store. It's got a home department. It's got electronics shop. It's got all your shit that you need. And I still shop there all the time. But I was there for 10 years, and I used to work in the health and beauty. And this is how I learned that you should never buy beauty products from a grocery store. Is that they have these specific labels on them saying if this is not sold in the salon, then it's defective. And we used to rip off those labels.
Oh.
And they never showed up in packages. They showed up in a big box loose, and I would just put them on the shelf. So note to you guys, it's the same thing with TJ Maxx. Like you don't buy your beauty products there because they literally show up in a box that's expired.
Right.
That's why they're cheaper.
Also, let's do this in reverse. Don't buy food at Sephora. I feel like I feel like they would not be able to get that. Like if you're at Sephora and someone is selling meat, don't buy it. It's
You
not
know,
good.
but if it's a Sephora in a downtown and someone's selling danger dogs outside, then you can buy the
Then you can
food.
do it. Yeah, but that's in like an adjacent small business. Support them for
I mean,
sure.
you're Bay Area,
Yeah,
right? Do
yeah.
they have their danger dogs, their
Oh yeah,
street meat?
we got like the bacon wrap hot dog, street meat, all that
Are
fun
y-
stuff.
are you pro like that? Like, is that your
Why would I be against that? That's
because some people, okay, when I was at San Diego Comic-Con, I ate two in like 15 minutes and everyone was concerned for my health. I'm like,
for
they're
what?
street, they're like, oh, you shouldn't be eating those. I'm like, they're hot dogs wrapped in bacon. We don't even know what's in a hot dog to
I
begin
know.
with. It's like, I
What's
don't think I'm cooking it on the street's gonna make it any worse, you know?
is people's problem that it's cooked on the street?
I think it was like, no, don't eat that. We'll go get real food. I'm like, this is real food. They're like, no, it's
Yeah.
not. I'm like, you're right, but it's here and it's
You can
$6.
exactly, and you can have that on the way to real food, right? That's like a little amuse bouche, a little aperitif.
Also, have you ever had a Seattle style of those hot dogs?
No.
They put cream cheese and sautéed onions on them, and I
Okay.
don't like cream cheese, but for some reason, they're so fucking good. I've only had them drunk, but
There's
they're
your
real
reason.
they're
There.
really good drunk, though. You
That's
know?
your reason. That sounds awesome. I would eat that.
Mm. Amazing. I don't know if the Bay Area has their own version. I think every time I go to a city, I try to eat their own version of a hot dog. So, like,
Hmm.
when we went to Chicago for a work party, I was like, "Oh my god, I'm
Oh
in
God,
fucking
yeah.
heaven."
Me too. I ate tons of hot dogs when I was there. They're great.
Yeah, did you go to Portillo's and get them?
I did. I did. That was like that was like a 27,000 calorie meal that I just kind of
Oh,
looked up and was like, oh boy, cool way to end this trip.
Taylor, my wonderful boss in the chat, we bought the cake shake. That lasted about 4 gulps before we were like, "Well, I will die if I finish this." So,
That you could probably build a house out of that.
we
Like you could.
have we have a Northwest version of Denny's called Sherry's. I'm pro Sherry's. Sherry's is the shit. So my
Why have I've never heard of this.
EG people who are watching, a lot of people from Evil Geniuses moved here from like, LA and actually this is a really funny story. I was like the only Seattle native working at my company basically cuz esports.
Right.
Not a lot of esports in Seattle. A lot of gaming industry, not esports. So a lot of people moved here and I would like stare at our like Slack group chats and people were like, "So where's all the good Mexican food?" I'm like, "Oh, you moved from LA and
Oh,
you're coming at me."
right.
By Mexican food, you do mean smoked salmon, right? Because we have great smoked salmon. But no, so Sherry's is like the Northwest Denny's, and it's the best. I do not like Denny's, but Sherry's is the fucking shit because they're known for their pies. Like they have all sorts of type, but they have pies. They have like 15 different pies, but they have a thing called a pie shake. And as someone like I am like you, I am pro eating everything. I eat
Hmm.
everything. I spent my whole 20s tracking my calories, trying to be like the best shape in the world just to realize like if I'm gonna get cancer, it's not because I drank a pie shake at Sherry's when I was drunk one night. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like,
Right.
but to compare a pie shake with a cake shake, pie shakes way better. Cake shakes got that gritty consistency I can't do, but pie shakes, it's like you're drinking melted ice cream and every once in a while you get a prize and it's a piece of pie. It's amazing. I highly recommend it.
How does the cake shake get gritty? If you were to ask me like gun to head, which would be a weird thing to do, which of these things gets gritty when you like
Cause it's like
pulverize it?
because they take cake, like fluffy pound cake, and they like obviously blend it with like ice cream, and it makes like this really weird consistency. Like it's
Oh,
like gritty,
you know
because
what it
it's
is? It's the
it's
candles.
it's
It's
the
they just
cancer. Yeah, that's
that
just
too.
balls of gritty cancer just
Well,
going
yeah,
into your
and
gut.
that it's cancer, and they just pulverize children's birthday candles in every cake shake. It's like not the numbers, it's like 8. You just
A
have like
slurry. Yeah, there you go.
it's just,
That's just the grossest word.
I don't like
Slurry.
that word. That is a fucking horrible word.
I like that we're just started talking about food. You do a lot of food posts though.
I
You
do.
do a
I,
lot of
I cook a
pizza
lot.
posts. I
I
know,
cook a
and I
lot.
fucking love it. Like that's why I was like you would appreciate this cooking stream idea I have.
Hmm.
I'm very happy to see that because I don't think a lot of gamers cook.
I don't think so. I don't think so either. They should. It's like I was about to say, like, what's more gamer than
Like I eat dinner at 3 p.m. like every day because I stream at 5.
Yeah.
I am I'm an old person. But that's because I don't want to be any stream at 9 and I'm like usually buzzed and I'm like I want to cook something. But I've been really consistent by like cooking my food. Like that was my big thing for the pandemic. Because
Hmm.
before that I cooked occasionally, but I was like if I can't go to the gym, like I got to do something healthy. So I started like I made like my own ramen. I did like that was like 3 days of prep. That was crazy.
Which
And it
is
was
it's worth
yeah.
it though.
Oh, it was. The payoff was great. I did like, hot pot. I did a lot mainly Korean food. Like what is your favorite things to cook?
I mean, do you want to talk about like the last 2 weeks? Because like
Yeah.
I
You
so the
cook a lot. I love your food post.
I mean, so in the last 3 days, like last night I did like a pan fried rockfish with a side salad. The day before that, I did it was like chilly here for the first time in like a week, or chilly-ish. It's never really chilly. But I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do like a braised chicken and mushrooms and bacon, like in a in
Jesus.
a big pot and all that fun stuff. And then before that, I've been kind of so I was in Germany for Gamescom, and there's a thing that you can get there called like doner kebab, right? And it's like those huge, you've seen them, they're like, it's like a cylinder
There's a
trash can.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's a German pub like right here, like a real one, and it's
Hmm.
yeah, like
So this is basically like,
it's
it's
like they
like,
want you to have a stomach ache when you leave,
oh
you
God,
know?
yeah.
Yeah.
Like the thing about like when I go to Germany for work, or after like 2 or 3 days of like potatoes and schnitzel and stuff like that, I'm like, okay, I'm good, and I start eating kind of like Middle Eastern, Mediterranean food and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So doner kebab is basically just like these huge, and you've seen them, like it's gyro meat basically. It's like those cylindrical trash cans of like minced lamb and yogurt and a little bit of beef and a
This is a
very
not safe for work stream, guys,
yeah,
by the way.
an extremely sweaty man goes up there with like a barbershop razor, and he shaves meat off of it, and it's like it's both like kind of like springy and also crispy on the outside, and I love it so much. And I was like, how do I make this at home? So I've spent like the last 7 days, or probably 2 weeks, watching like YouTube videos hosted by like 70-year-old Turkish women who are just like yeah, and I'm like trying to reverse engineer how to do this, and I'm like, I obviously don't have like a fucking 4 foot rotisserie in my kitchen, and I was like, but I have a barbecue, so I could theoretically do that sideways. And I was like, but what if I got one of those like vertical stands and I minced the meat in the food processor with grated onion and
I
garlic?
truly feel like this is the dad side of you right now.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love it.
Thank you, thank you. And so I've been like sort of working on that, and then like cutting off the pieces of it, pan frying it, making it with like French fries, which I'll hand cut and soak in vinegar and like double fry, and then like a side salad, just to trick my brain that I'm not just purely giving it poison
Well,
all the
here's the
time.
thing too, is that like I've had, I think we've all I mean, I know you went through a huge weight loss a few years
Hmm.
ago, and like I've always struggled with my health, internally mainly, and everyone has struggled with body dysmorphia and whatnot. And the minute I started cooking all my foods, it's like most of those anxieties went away because I knew
Right.
exactly everything I was eating. And I tell people that they're like, what's the best way for you to get healthy? And I was like, for one thing, I'm no fitness professional or anything or health professional, but I think cooking most of your food is the best place to start because
I totally agree.
yeah,
Totally agree. It's
even
also
if
like,
it's deep fried, like at least you know exactly
even
what you're
then,
yeah.
even then, you're like, well, I used avocado oil. That's not that
I
bad.
used to, yeah, right? It's fine.
Avocados are cute. They give them googly eyes all the time.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know if you use like a step tracker or anything like that, but if you wear like a Apple Watch or a Fitbit and you cook, you'll look down and you'll be like, oh, I just walked 2 miles to make dinner, but those 2 miles are like back and forth in my kitchen.
It's
So
just
you end up like,
it's your hand chopping onions
yeah,
for two
it's just like,
miles is what you're doing.
but you're moving, right? Like you're moving around a lot,
Like,
which
why is
is
this person vibrating while they're moving?
like I got that the other day where there was just like my hand buzz, and I was like literally deep frying a fish, and it was like, good job today, you hit your goal. And I was like, was that it? Was that my goal? But like it happens so quickly where you just like look down and you're like, oh, I moved around a lot to make dinner, which is like better for you than just pushing a button on your phone and then food shows up, right?
Right.
Like
It's also
so
less expensive.
It is less expensive. It
Unless
is.
you
Yeah.
like I started doing a thing where I started buying, like, fancier meats because I
Right.
was just like, I like, my mom, she was when we growing up, my mom worked at McDonald's. So
Hmm.
we lived off of McDonald's for years, and it was, like, not good, and then one day she was like, got a better job. She worked at Metropolitan Market, which is, like, a fancy seafood, like, grocery store. She was a seafood manager there, so, like, our entire diet, like, 180'd when we reached, like, junior high and high school, and I was blessed to learn how to cook and, like, know what's good fish, know what's good meat, and then now, thank you that I have, like, a little bit more disposable income, I've been able to buy, like, nicer beef,
Hmm.
and God, there is such a difference. Like, it's like, now when because I travel so much, I'll, like, just go to, like, a grocery store and buy, like, meat and fish there, but, like, it has ruined it for me almost, because it's like
It's
you kinda notice the difference. So, like, I'll save, like, the cheap stuff for, like, stir fries or whatever, and then, like, the expensive stuff, I'm like, I'm probably not gonna make a fancy meal again for a really long time just with my schedule, but, like, that's why I wanna do a cooking stream, is because it's like, this will give me incentive to do that, you know?
exactly.
Yeah.
It's weird because it's like cooking is like the one thing I haven't been like turn this into content because I'm always just like, well, like I'll put like pictures on Instagram or Twitter every now and then of like, hey, I cooked this, and it's fun,
There's no
but
yeah, there's nothing wrong with buying cheap food. I mean, I grew up
oh yeah,
poor, so I'm pro being frugal about everything, but
yeah,
don't spoil
absolutely.
yourself too much because then it ruins things for you.
It really does, and it's like it's definitely like and we completely both agree here. Like that's a thing that like you reach a level of like sort of financial privilege where you're capable of going, okay, I can spend a little more money on the better stuff this week, but I've also learned, and I'm sure you have too, to cook with like very little and make it work, right? Like
I make
sometimes
my
you
own kimchi now.
yeah, that's fucking awesome. That's one of those things I've always wanted to get into. I don't know what people thought they'd be hearing about when they clicked on the stream, but I'm incredibly excited about that because,
This
like,
is what happens when you're on my channel. We just talk about I mean, Anthony did a
mhm,
Adam Sandler impersonation the last time, so I don't think he was expecting to do that in the 2 hours.
but like that's how it happens. You look in your fridge and you go, "I have extra cabbage. What do I do with it?" And then your brain's like kimchi, and then you're like, "Oh, but where do I start from there?" And then you start getting into that. Like, I decided to like pickle a bunch of habaneros. I'm super into like
Huh?
spicy food, and so I made this jar of like pickled habaneros and jalapenos because I had just extra ones, and I'm like, now I have them for a long time. They last a while, and they're delicious, and you just put them on stir fries and stuff like
Oh
that.
gosh, yeah, I do the same thing with like, how I first started making kimchi is I would go buy the big packs from, like, H Mart, and I'd put my own veggies in there, and then I'd
Mm,
add a little bit of the pepper, like, because you have to get the Korean, like, hot pepper, and
right.
now all my shelves are full of Korean food, and I don't speak or can read Korean, so I'm like, "Whatever this is extra," and I just smell it, I'm like, "This will be fine," you know? But I did not like spicy food. I was not a spicy person, and then I went to Asia, and I was like, "I can't not be a spicy person." Like, I did a month in Korea. A month. I
Right.
did a month, like, I did a month in Korea, like I was in prison, I don't know, or the military.
Thank
I
you
was
for your
in
services.
I wasn't oh, I love the Korea Boo comment because okay, so I don't know how long we've been friends, but back in 2018, 19, I did 2 big, like, Asia trips. Mainly because I was depressed. I need to get the fuck out of here. I need to
Right.
not be around white people. That was, like, the thing, and so I went to Asia for, like, 3 months. The first time I spent a month in Korea, and it was really funny because in my hostel, I met, like, a bunch of really young girls. They were, like, 17, 18 years old, and I was like, "Oh, like, what brings you here?" And they're like, "Oh, we love BTS, so we wanted to come to Korea." And in my head, I'm like, "What a nerd." And I was like, "Wait, I'm literally going to Japan to, like, buy anime figurines. Like, this is the same shit." But
Right.
at least your fandom's real. Mine's I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
fantasize I'm just like, if I get this character tattooed on my body, then I'll feel like they're real. Like, that's how my brain works, you know?
I had a friend the
Um,
first time I went to Tokyo who was like, "You're." It was Max actually. He was like, "You're going to Japan like
Max, your
for
one
vacation?"
friend.
Yeah, my only friend. I'll take it. And he was like, "You're going to Japan, but you're like not super into anime. Is that okay?" And I was like, "That's like if somebody was like going to America, but like they weren't into Looney Tunes. Like,
Right? Like,
it's like
there are other things here. Mine
it's like,
is
but
food.
you don't even like Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner, or like, are you gonna have fun in America? It's like, they'll be fine.
Oh, Brandon Lee Hunt has joined the stream.
What's
Hello,
up, Brandon
Brand.
Hahn?
Hi, Brandon.
I worked with him for several years, many years. He's fucking awesome. Good dude.
I know. He loves everything that I post, and that's the best friends to have on the internet.
Incredibly supportive,
Doesn't even matter
incredibly
what I
kind.
say. I could just be like, I farted, and he'd be like, that's great. We support you.
We
Like
support everyone supports a good fart.
But I was in Korea and I had a lot of friends there because like one of my best friends from high school like married his Korean fiance from college, and so I stayed with them and we ate and he was like, "Do you like spicy food?" And I was like, "Oh no, not really." He goes, "Well, that's gonna change." And like everywhere we ate, I was just sweating profusely and just like it was the worst. And then after that, I just started putting spice in all my stuff. And I'm like, I've gotten pretty proud. I went from like a 0 on a Thai food scale to like a 3. Like I'm like a
That's
3, 4,
that's fucking awesome though. Like
right? I built
that's
that tolerance in like 4 years.
I mean, I think about that the way like people when you see people like posting like things like them doing deadlifts or working out, right? And they're like, I just hit my personal best, my PB or whatever, like new personal record. I'm like that with spicy food because it's like you start somewhere,
Right?
yeah, and start with like a little bit of sriracha or some Tabasco or like even something milder than that, and then a couple of years later, you're like you're bringing fucking ghost pepper chilies on vacation because you're like where we're going they don't have spicy foods, we got to bring some stuff with us, like.
Right? I just have like a little bottle in my purse.
Mm-hmm.
Also, like speaking of Elysian, so last year, Taylor and a couple of my coworkers and Elysian had this huge like fall fest. They're gonna have one this year. It's so fucking awesome. They have like 50 different kinds of beer and 90% of it's pumpkin flavored. I'm like, I don't give a shit. Give me all the pumpkin flavored shit.
Mm-hmm.
I am such a white girl on Instagram. Like I will have all the pumpkin spiced everything. But they had a habanero beer and it was so fucking good.
Ooh, I need that. I need that in my life. That
I
sounds
think
amazing.
I don't know, Elysian, if you are watching, which I know you probably are, you should, if you have that, please DM me and tell me what it was because we had that and like we had like these drink tickets and we just went back and just kept going and getting that one. I was like the habanero pumpkin spice whatever, that shit was bomb.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Elysian, first of all, thank you for sending me beer today. We were having a blast. Second of all, bring that back. There are dozens of us that want it. This is me
Yeah.
personally asking you, Lisa as well. Dozens of us want the habanero beer. Please bring it back. This is delicious. Habanero, that's a wonderful treat. We're looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
As a sponsor, yeah, this is all right, but we want the spice. We want the shit that hurts when we drink it.
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
no, it was so fucking good, and like I did not realize that my spice tolerance like hit like a higher level because I did a hot pot party with a bunch of
Right.
my like comedian friends, and I made it spicy, and then all my friends are just sitting in my living room like sweating in pain, and I was like, "What's wrong?" They're like, "It's really good, but oh, it's pretty spicy," and I was just like so proud of myself. I made something spicy. Yeah, it was great.
I had that when I became a dad and my kids started to eat food because I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna keep cooking like I cook," and I didn't stop to think like, you're one and a half. Like this is gonna make you explode. And so for like there was definitely a few months there where I was like, all right, I will slowly build. I'll have to like take spice out or add it in post, basically. Um, and then slowly build up. And so
Oh
now
yeah, my dad would put like cayenne pepper in the spaghetti and give me the wrong plate, and I'm like dying, and I'm like 4 years old, and he was like, "Oops, sorry, that was mine."
isn't that great?
It's like, you guys need
But
to stop smoking weed, and I'm like, "Please, give me the right plate."
but yeah, you get like you honestly get better at it. It's like one of those things you build up. You build a little bit of tolerance, a little bit at a time, and but like at some point you'll look up and you'll be like, oh my god, this is awesome. And you're buying hot sauces everywhere you go and stuff like that. Like I have like 35 different hot sauces right now on like one of those like
Have you done your
spindles.
own personal like hot pepper gaming, hot ones type thing?
I did hot pepper gaming for Captain Toad's treasure tracker.
Oh my god! Shout out to
And
Jared. He's one of my best friends in the entire
yes,
world. I love him.
awesome people over there.
Yeah.
I think I was like 25 pounds heavier back then.
I need
The
to
thing
watch
is,
it.
yeah,
I love those videos.
my weight loss was like entirely in my face. Like it's very
He's
which
just a
is,
big face and tiny body.
yeah, it's like my body stayed exactly the same, but like my face was just like I don't
But
whatever I
that's like
was.
where honestly that's where it matters the most, I think,
I mean some
You
people
know?
just get like I have like no butt. Like some people get like a big fat
I
ass and
got
it's
Hank Hill ass. It's fine. Like I
yeah,
feel
same here. It
you.
sucks. Like I would love I don't know, I would love to just
Just get a
like
BBL. It's fine.
yeah.
Just
I like everybody gained a couple pounds during the pandemic, right? And I was like, this maybe I'll get a cool big fucking ass this time. Like that'll be great. Didn't happen. Just went right
Probably like
back to
me,
my
all
face.
your weight goes in your stomach.
Yeah,
Like
same.
I'm like tall and skinny, but like when I hate that it's like I feel like I'm not allowed to say this, but when I was like gaining weight, it only go in my stomach.
Yeah.
And this is like back in like 2014. Somebody at my work thought I was pregnant, and I was like, okay, well, I think it's time to start learning how to cook. Anyways, back to what you were saying.
Well, you were talking about like buying sweatpants for your dad. When I was heavier, there was like definitely certain clothes that if I wore, people were like, "What's up with this guy?" But now, like if I wear sweatpants, people are like, "Oh, joggers." And it's
Joggers.
it's
I
like
think they're
so fuck
pronounced joggers.
joggers. It's so fucked up. But like society does like judge you based on your clothes in connection to your weight. So that gets that's a pain in the ass. But like it's not necessarily something like I've struggled with, nor something I've conquered. But it's something that like I've kind of like pushed. I've kind of like pulled back on the gas a little bit the last few years, and just kind of been like, if I'm extremely strict about this all of the time, I will be maybe 5 to 7 pounds lighter and just be constantly miserable. And so
Yeah.
and so like I think you're in the same boat, right? Like you find like a kind of like a groove that works between like, fuck it, I'll do whatever I want all the time and 24/7, and
Yeah.
fuck it, like food controls me.
Well,
And
also, I needed advice during
yeah.
COVID because, like, it's I finally have actual diagnosed OCD, even though I've known it my entire life.
Hmm.
But, like, it was very much connected to intrusive thoughts, like weight and all sorts like, any and, like, it's like I'm very aware of how I look, so it's like, I know that it's like, I can't go and be like, "Oh, I'm, like, out of shape, blah, blah, blah." But, none of that fucking matters, it's how I felt in my head.
Of
And
course.
so during like, exercise is a big release for me for stress and all that stuff, and I couldn't really do that as much. And so when I started cooking, it was like I was eating really good, but I was like, I still craved having a vice. So my vice during COVID was that I would go to a different bakery once a month with my best friend. So we'd eat at a different bakery every month and we get like a bunch of pastries, and it was amazing.
I
And like,
love I love that. Like that's
oh
fucking
yeah.
awesome.
And then it made me realize, like, being strict is not good for you because
No.
I did have a very strict diet for years, and then when I get out of it, it was like all the progress is gone. But instead of like having sort of that moderate, like, hey, like, don't restrict yourself so much, just be aware of what you're consuming.
Yep.
Oh my God. Oh my God. That's all I
Right?
gotta say, right?
Right? It's
And
fucking awesome. Man, I love that story so much. Like
yeah.
and it's like that's such an important thing to tell too, because I think a lot of people just kick their own asses about this shit, and it's tough because it's like it's different than like if you quit cigarettes, right? Like then you're like, okay, like they're gone. I don't have to see them
I'm
anymore,
allergic
right?
to tobacco, which helps.
Yeah, that helps a lot, right? Or like you quit drinking, like you could be like, well, I'm around people with alcohol seldomly. Food is like a different thing because food is like it's there every day. Like you have to eat it in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, whatever, right?
Well, did you ever watch It's Always Sunny?
Yes.
Yeah, so, like, Rob, when they were asking him how he, like, gained all his weight, he said he, like, ate, like, a tub of ice cream for breakfast every day,
Hmm.
and then they're like, "How'd you lose the weight so fast?" He goes, "I just stopped eating the ice cream." Like, that was it. Like, it's
Yeah.
just you just stop doing that one thing, it wasn't that hard, and then I lost weight, and it was just like, people always have this idea that you have to be, like, so strict and all this stuff, but it's like, really, you just need to make tiny little changes.
Yeah.
I made like a joke in my Instagram story a few weeks ago about it. Like I was making a joke because I was like, also you have to make sure you get really good plastic surgery. Like that was my that was my fitness advice. But like one of my things that I said in like passing was like, yeah, if you want to exercise, don't be hard on yourself. It's a slow process. Like start off slow, like get some resistance bands or a kettlebell and then go to the heavy stuff. And someone was like, your advice really helped, even though you were just joking. I was like, oh, yeah, no, like I was serious about that part. I just
Well,
don't like to talk about fitness and shit online because I'm like, I just want people to still think I'm a nerd. I just want no one likes a fitness nerd. Nobody likes them. Like every single dude that I met that was like into esports and wasn't in like the esports community, they're all like hashtag fit gamer bros, you know, like, and I'm just like, you are making being in shape douchey, and I don't like it. Like, you know what
Well,
I mean? Like, it's just like, ugh, why do you have to ruin it for people?
it is kind of amazing because like when I started, so I started in the games industry. I started at IGN in 2009, and very long time ago, right?
Jesus,
Yeah,
you're
and
a
so
veteran.
a veteran, yeah, I've been in this war for ages, and like I think before that, I was working kind of independently on like video game adjacent stuff for a couple years, for 2 years, right? And so when I started, it was a lot of people that were just like they were writers, and they
Yeah.
had the bodies of writers, right? Like they sat all day and they wrote, and the cameras never turned on. And then at some point the camera started turning on, and everybody was kind of like, "Oh man, I have to like pay attention to how I look now, and like how I, like what I wear and stuff like that." So all this stuff started changing, and there are a lot of people that started in the last 5, 7, even 10 years ago that that didn't ever have to like do that jump, and so they just
Mhm.
started with the cameras on, and it's kind of amazing because they skipped that whole like I'm gonna be a fat guy thing, and they just
Right?
went right into fitness, which is interesting. But like one of my best friends growing up is
Max, the only one.
no, not
I'm just
one
kidding.
of my best friends.
His
He's
name is
like a
Maxwell,
yeah.
actually.
I
I'm just
just
kidding.
make up some Canadian version of Max. Just peel the layers off until you're like, man, this guy's really sad. He only knows one person. Shout out to Max. That he was like how tall are you?
5'10
You're like
ish.
5'10. So
5'10, 5'11 ish. Yeah.
this dude was like 6'3", and
Yeah, that's like 5'10 for women,
yeah,
basically. Yeah. Like
exactly.
I'm 6'3 for
Yeah,
women.
you're
Yeah.
6'3" for women. And he went to like Georgia Tech to become an engineer. So
Uh-huh.
fucking brilliant dude, but also he was like jacked and was doing like Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and was like just a very sweet funny guy. And I was like, fucking, you can't max out every skill tree. Like like take some points down, put some, like be bad at something. Like what the fuck, man? Like, I'm like this
Hey,
doughy.
but to be
Yeah.
fair, that's how I feel about you. Because you're
What do you,
like, here's my Neon Genesis Evangelion CD. I'm like, oh, okay, so you make music now and it's
I
great too.
do.
Wow, Brian, you're just so good at everything. No, just kidding.
Okay, so I can't dance and I can't grow hair. So there's that.
You
But I can
know,
grow
it's
it on my
okay.
chest. Like I need more. I need
I'm a terrible singer and I'm not short. There you go.
not short is not. That's
I would
not
love to be shorter. Okay, everyone's like, "Oh my god, being tall is great." Okay, until you shop for clothes and shoes and boots
right.
that look cute on your legs. No, they don't.
Well,
I have
I
Ronald McDonald feet. Okay.
you also get like you probably get like people talk to you about it. Like they're like
Ugh.
it's a conversation piece, right? They
Until
come up
I
to you.
met Jackie Jing, we talked about this. I met Jackie
Right.
and I loved being around her. Like my friend was like, what's it like being around Jackie? Like, did you get weird? Like my friend asked me if I got jealous. I was like, hell no. Looking at her made me feel like I was like, oh, is this how short people look at me? Like,
Right.
what an Amazonian goddess. You know what I mean? Like,
I told you this story when I hung out with you for the first time. Jackie Jing is the first person I've ever worked with where I had to step on Apple Box, and it's amazing because like I'm like exactly 6 foot tall, maybe like a smidge taller, but I slouch because like we have like raptor jobs where we're just like all like this all
oh,
day.
dude, I played fucking I sorry to interrupt your story. I
No, go.
played violin for years and had bad posture because growing up tall, like I was very slouchy. Cuz now it's like
Right.
hot. Now it's like, oh, tall woman, bleh, ugh, whatever. But back in like junior high, that shit was not. Like it was like I was just like very I was called manly. I was called every single name in the book
Right.
like and I cuz I was also very tomboyish. Like it was I was bullied and I feel like some people have to be wary when they say that, but I legitimately was. I was made fun of for being tall, lanky, and like just having like
It's
just
tough.
the body of a 14-year-old boy basketball player until I was like 25. So
Well,
I
people would expect you to like fall. They'd be like, are you a basketball player? Are you track and field? Like, did
no, I have a joke
yeah.
on stage about it. My parents were too high to ever put me in those opportunities. They tried to put me in dance though, which is weird because when I get drunk and dance now, I look like Gumby trying to shake out a turd. Like that is the joke that I tell on stage. But I'm a terrible dancer. I look like Taylor Swift. Um, but
I'm
one
glad
thing.
we can high five in that. I'm so bad at dancing.
But when
That's
I saw, yeah,
honestly, I think that's why I make music, because I was just like, if I do this, then I don't have to do like the
I
guys who
don't have to
make
be
music.
out there.
Yeah, they don't have to dance. Like they just
I
they
just
hang
can't
back.
be sober, and then I think I'm the best dancer in the world, and then I see someone's story with me in the background looking like a wacky inflatable tube man. I'm like,
Right.
yeah, this is not it. But like I was gonna say, one thing I love about her, and like I have a couple other tall friends, is that they own it. I never wore heels. I never stood up straight. I very much was ashamed of how tall I was until the last couple years. I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna start wearing heels. And I had no idea how to walk in heels when I was like 28. I just always looked drunk. And now I'm like trying to embrace that more. Like
Right.
the height and like you were saying, like being on camera all the time. Again, sorry for interrupting your story.
No, no, no. This is we're doing jazz
But
tonight, right?
yeah, right. This is basically an open mic.
Yeah.
I like before I did EG, I worked from home. I worked for Microsoft, and I did like labor. I was a forklift operator at one point. Like I was like teaching people how to drive a forklift. I was like the weird, lanky, hot girl trying to teach people how to drive a forklift. And I've done like I used to do overnight freight. I've done every type of job except pretty much service industry. And
Right.
now being like having, and you probably know this too because you've been in the industry, for over a decade, like having a job that uses your full creative part of your mind and always be on camera is so much more exhausting than any other job I ever had. I used to be able to go into work at midnight and stock fucking milk and potatoes and whatever, and then come home and be fine because I could show up to work like not 100%. I didn't have to
Mhm.
be in a good mood. I have to look good. I didn't have to present myself. I just had to do my job and leave. But like now, your job requires you, like you said, like you have to. You're on camera. Like
Right.
people can see what's going on in your head and how you're feeling. Like that's something people can't naturally hide about themselves.
It's
And
true.
it's
It's true.
yeah, and it's hard because I'm balancing that with stand up. So it's just like by the time I do stand up by the end of the week, I'm like, oh, I don't even want to do this 5 minute set.
I
Like,
yeah. I will say, like, personally, like I worked retail for many years in high school and in college and stuff like that. And there's a thing about that that's, at least at like your shift is over, you close the door. You can definitely still have fucking stress dreams about it. Like I have stress dreams
yeah,
about middle school, right? But now there's like this sort of like, it's always there. Everything I love has become something that I also have turned into a career. Whether or not that's like more difficult than physical manual labor, probably not. For me personally, I think there are people that like, would trade everything in a heartbeat, and vice versa. There are definitely days where I'm like, I wish I could just go in the quarry and fuck up some rocks, or like, like I'd love to drive a bulldozer through a wall of
I
computers today.
I actually
Um,
love stalking shit. I felt like I don't know if you remember that old Nick Swartzen joke about how his grandma thought he was the strongest boy in the world and he hold up the gallon of milk. And he's like,
yeah.
"You mean this one?" That was me stalking every gallon of milk, just like fucking just flexing my arms every time I
Oh,
went in.
at a
Just,
grocery
oh
store?
yeah, like at a grocery store. I was in the back room where no one could see me in a 40-degree cooler, but I was just like, I'm so fucking cool right
So
now.
I did that at an office supply. I did that in an office supply store, and that was a fun mess. But
Yes, I'm cracking open my next IPA.
go for it. I got one
Shout
on
out
deck.
Elysian.
Shout out to Elysian. But I did work at a grocery store for 2 summers, and I worked at the checkout lane, and I was terrible. I was so bad at it. Like I was like I mean I was
It
good
was the
at
best.
it. I was
I
good at the
fucking
part.
thrived.
Did you really?
Yeah, because I mean, I was just like, "Oh my god, hi, hello, how's it go?" I'm too fucking nice. I think that's the
Oh.
problem.
Oh, not
Yeah,
me.
but
Yeah,
anyway,
no.
sorry, back when you're
No, I'm like a curmudgeon-y old, just I was just like, all right, yeah, here you go.
yeah, you're like
It's
a
just
gin drink checking out somebody's groceries, you
I
know?
know, which is funny because like
Right?
you're in a gin and I'm not, but I'm way more of a of a person. It's just like I'm just like angry and lukewarm and I like smell like Christmas trees or
Lukewarm.
whatever.
Smell like Christmas trees.
But like people would come through and I would just be like, yeah, here's your shit, here you go. And like somebody would like have a meltdown about how I didn't put the eggs in with the flour and the tomatoes the right way, or like I'd punch in the wrong code for bananas or something, because like you had to fucking put in, you had to memorize
For all
numbers.
the chords. Bananas is 4011 in case
I
you
fucking know that still. What the who like so did they have like an E3 for that shit where like all the produce like people got together and picked all the numbers? What the fuck, man? Like
it's like the same everywhere you go, but I memorize most of them because
yeah.
I can't remember, like I will beat a video game and forget everything about it. Like
Right.
Bloodborne, I've talked about this stream, one of my favorite games of all time. I can't even name 3 bosses. Like my mind does not work, and it sucks because like I don't know how long we've been friends on the internet, but like I started building kind of a following from reviewing stuff. But like I don't, my memory sucks, but for some reason I remember tomatoes.
Like the code.
4664.
Right. Right.
Like why is that what's in my head?
You know what I love? Here's what I fucking love, just to track this. You and I started this conversation to be like, well, the difference between like working these jobs now versus working retail is that when your shift ends at retail, you can leave it all behind. And like 15 years later, we're like, bananas 4011. Like,
oh, every time I use a self-checkout, I feel like my mom still works there, so I use her employee discount, but they still think I'm an employee because I know all the numbers. I'm like,
really?
I got this. You need help with those peppers? It's 4693. Just letting you know. Like I'm just.
I have this. I've had this idea for like a short film where robots take over the Earth, but they're like kit bashed from different pieces of tech that we have now, and like a bunch of them are self-checkout machines.
Produce code's one of them.
No, like the self-checkout machines. So they're just like walking down the street, like in this war-torn apocalypse, just gunning down people, and they're like, "Have you scanned your club card? Have you scanned your club card?" And just like,
oh, the biggest geek ever asked, "Is there 169 420?" But no, 5 numbers usually means it's organic. Just letting you know. Anyways.
oh, see, I'm so old that I don't think organic produce like was a thing back then.
Organic produce is garbage. Have you ever bought organic produce? It literally dies the next day. I accidentally bought organic bananas and they were green. I buy them green because I make them in smoothies and I want them to last longer. And 2 days later, they were already rotten. I was like, fuck you, organic. I need the chemicals to keep this lasting longer. Okay.
I love that even their code is like an extra digit, like just like how much they cost. Like they're just
it's so stupid. I hate them all.
This is like a 6-figure lettuce. Like fuck
like
off.
I'm not one to steal, but I will definitely ring up organic produce as regular produce.
Oh
Just
yeah, me
be
too.
a dick, whatever. They're gonna throw it out anyways. Who cares?
I'm not one to steal anymore. I definitely did like back when I was younger, but crimes are fun when you're in high school.
When I was 8 years old, I accidentally stole a Pokemon magazine from a Walmart, and then I brought it in the next day, and I was crying because I left with it, not realizing it, and I actually still have nightmares about it sometimes.
Really?
Even though I hate Walmart.
Do you know how much Walmart has stolen?
Oh, I don't even shop there. I won't even walk into Walmart because I still think about that memory.
I had a thing in a Kmart where I was like,
I still have the magazine too.
Wait, you still have the magazine?
I do. It was when the second generation Pokemon were introduced. Okay, I was like reading it and I walked out with it and I put it in the car and I just immediately started breaking down and crying.
Wait, you still have the specific magazine you stole?
I do.
But you went back to the store.
No, and I let them know that I stole them.
But you didn't bring it back.
No, it was just I felt bad. I made my mom pay for it. I was like, "Mom, I need you to pay for this magazine." So we went there and we paid for it, and like they were like confused because they were like, "We didn't even know an 8-year-old girl would ever admit to this." But I kept the magazine to this day, and it's a Pokemon magazine that introduces the second generation of Pokemon, and like half the pages are ripped out, but I still got it. Wait, I still got it.
So you were like, I stole it, and so I should pay for it. You weren't still like, I stole it, so I'm going to bring it back. Because you're like,
I was going to keep it.
Yeah, you're like, I still need it.
Back, but I need to pay for it.
That's incredible. That is so. I had a thing like that happen in a Kmart where I stole a bunch of like Batman action figures, and in my little kid pockets, and there was like one of those like undercover secret shopper, undercover cop dudes in there, and he was just dressed like an undercover
normal
cop
guy.
Yeah, but like a normal, it was like with
A
like a
normal
side.
guy who's like an alien trying to be a normal guy. Like
Yeah, he's just like shaking, being like, I hope my sideways hat doesn't fall off, because then the teenagers won't know that I'm not real. And he followed us, like me and my brother, he followed us around the store, and I was like terrified, and I just kept making small talk with my brother. So like the cop, I was trying to throw him off the scent,
was it
and
like a loss prevention person?
yeah, one of those
Yeah, they're not even
guys.
real cops. They're just
Not
guys.
even
They're just men
exactly.
they hire.
He had like a white, it was just like a white dirty t-shirt on and like sweatpants, and I was just like, what do you like, what?
Yeah, they were racial profiling you.
Yeah, like what are you
This
trying to do?
white dude.
It's like, what are you trying to say here? So I walked outside, and he walked right behind us, and he goes, don't come back, and then left.
Okay.
So like I didn't get reprimanded, I didn't get arrested, I walked out with the toys, but he said don't come back. And then recently Kmart filed for bankruptcy. So
It's all your fault, by the
fucking
way. I don't know if you
yeah,
knew that.
it's all your fault, and also fuck you guys. I won. I beat you.
So I think I mentioned this actually on the Anthony stream, but I used to work in electronics at that grocery store, and we would put empty, obviously, like when the Nintendo DS came out, we put like empty cases out so they could see it on display. But like people were dumb enough to think that we'd put like a just like real fucking Nintendo DS out for you to just take. And so one time I filled them up with garbage. I just kept
Oh,
filling them up with garbage. I felt like there was weight in there, and someone
okay.
stole all of the boxes and like flipped me off on the way out. I was like, "Have fun with all your trash, bro." Like there's like tampon applicators in there. There's probably some receipts, maybe some chewed up like samples from the store. Like it was very funny. But
Do you
people
know that like Tampon Applicator was one of the biggest games on the 3DS in Japan?
yeah, it was like and no way, it was really unknown title, you know.
That was
Just it didn't get localized. It was crazy.
Lisa, they made a game for that system called like a quit smoking simulator or whatever. Do you know about that? Like there was like
Oh
they
yeah,
made
there were DS was like the weird innovator for any ideas they had.
yeah.
I've talked about
They,
this like Zelda games. I always thought like Zelda games were like the victim of like Nintendo's innovation. Like Phantom Hourglass would have been a way better game if it wasn't a tutorial for the fucking stylus. But
mhm.
like during that time, like yeah, they had all these weird fucking games that weren't even games. I'm like, this is just a weird life lesson you're teaching me.
I know. It was like walk better, and you're like you sold me a video game. Like what, why are you teaching me this? But yeah, they had one that was just like how to quit smoking. It was
Dude,
like
it's like a 12-year-old playing this. And a 12-year-old smoking cigarettes is not playing a DS. They're out
I
partying with their friends.
I fucking love that whole. There was like that era where for like a couple of years where we're like, we like video games, and grandmas were like, me too.
Oh
You're like,
yeah.
wow, this is weird.
The
Okay, good.
Skyrim grandma streamer. I remember
Oh my, that was
her.
so awesome.
Everyone was obsessed with that's gonna be me. Like, I don't know if you saw that tweet that was like viral a couple months ago. Like, when you reach your 30s and 40s, are you stop playing video games? I'm like, what do you think 30s and 40-year-olds look like? Like,
I
I'm
know.
almost in my mid 30s. I don't have a wrinkle on my forehead, mainly to Botox, but I'm never gonna stop playing video games. Like, that's my earliest memory literally is watching my dad play Zelda on the original NES on like our old like analog TV. And then
Right.
when it switched to N64, he's like, I'm never playing a video game again. This is bullshit. That's what he
Every
said.
every fucking 5 days, there's some like like some dude is like you like video games are for little children with
Right.
you know like
Like, your happiest moments in your life cannot be about video games. Like, actually, they are, you idiot.
it's also like yeah, and like first of all, I think if you have 262,000 tweets, you shouldn't tell other people about what constitutes as a waste of time, because it's a lot of fucking time to spend on a website. Second of all, like it's just like I feel like every 3 or 4 days there's somebody that comes in and that just dunks on this idea of like video games as escapist fun medium, and like I just can't get behind it. Like, yes, you can go all in. Yeah, anything can be an addiction. Anything can ruin your life. Anything can be,
Anything, not
yeah,
just gaming.
yeah. And I don't want to sound like that Philip Morris CEO who is like, you can get addicted to applesauce. I'm like, fuck you, dude. Cigarettes are definitely worse than
Applesauce is
applesauce.
fucking bomb.
It's really good. I think if you get addicted to it, weird, you know.
The most
But
problematic 7-year-old out there is addicted to it.
exactly, exactly. But like, for the idea of like only doing things because they have to be part of the 100 best moments of your life, and not just doing things because you want to do them is stupid. Like we were talking about cooking before, right? What a selfish act that is. If you actually think about it, like you're like, I'm gonna spend 3 weeks working on this ramen. Who's gonna eat it? Me and the handful of friends. Like,
Right?
what a fucking masturbatory,
Great
selfish
ramen,
thing
but I
that
could have
is.
been playing video games this whole time, you know?
Exactly, and it's or you know what you should have done? You should have taken a picture in front of the Eiffel Tower or
Well,
something.
it's
One of
also
those.
the thing where it's like, I still think like even though video games like, and this is actually a question I did have for you, which I'm gonna ask in a second. But I think a thing about video game industry in general is that like if you look at like how much money any industry has made, like video games is like so high up here, but yet
Mhm.
nobody wants to take it seriously. It's crazy
Right.
to me. It's like, God forbid, like Stephen Colbert or like Conan O'Brien wants to interview like a streamer. Like it's
Hmm.
like they'd be like, who the fuck is this person? No one cares about them. Like, and so much of that has changed because of the pandemic, because everything was digital, and they realized like digital creators were like the next big thing because like they can't make movies like they used to in like the
Right.
90s and the early 2000s because we don't have DVDs. Like we have fucking streaming services. They're not going to make profit off. Everything has changed digitally. So it's like, of course, video games are going to be the next big thing. And I actually did want to ask you this because you said with IGN since 2009. So it's like
Hmm.
what, 13 years ish? I'm bad at math, but I'm
No,
assuming
no,
that's
I'm
okay.
terrible at
Yeah.
math. You did great.
Yeah. So like you probably, I mean, you were around before there was even like Justin TV, probably,
I
right?
was around. I've been around since before regular television was
Yeah.
invented.
Before I was around back when everything was in black and white.
Yeah, we I
Before
reviewed
Pong back in
I
the day.
reviewed Leave It to Beaver for Nintendo GameCube. And
But like that's gotta be crazy because when you were starting out, like YouTubers weren't even really a thing. Like I remember like Hot Pepper Gaming, I think might have been one of my first introductions into
yep.
like YouTube channels because before that it was like GI Joe PSAs and like
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
bunch of other like goofy random shit. Like you've never like that, and I didn't even watch Hot Pepper Gaming until I became friends with Jared years ago and was like, "Oh my god, this is a thing." Like it's so generational to me, but yet like you have seen it from pretty much the beginning. Cause like obviously not gaming, like you're not that old. Like but since it became big on like the social media platforms and became like
Right.
a profitable type thing, like that's gotta be fucking crazy.
It's awesome. Like it's honestly like
Oh
it's
yeah,
to
it's job security for you.
yeah. Well,
Yeah, right?
that and it's like and you've been there too. Like we both grew up with a medium as it was figuring out its 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 way of existing alongside bigger giants, right? Like
Yeah.
and it wasn't taken seriously, and it's gotten better, but it still isn't. You still get, I mean, you mentioned like Conan and Colbert. Those guys are in like the middle tier in terms of like age of the actual journalist who is the media that is covering video games. Most of those people are like fucking like Walter Cronkite old, and they roll in and
Right?
they have the same starting sentence every time, and they're like, video games aren't just Pac-Man anymore. Like, check out this new Fortnite is bringing in like movies to the like. It's just like this fucking like ultimate boomer shit where guys come in and they're just like, I can't even fathom why people would do this. I remember even being a kid, my dad was like, he helped us set up like our Nintendo at the time, and was just kind of like, I don't get it. Like, you're just gonna sit, you're
And
gonna
that's the
sit,
last time we talked. That's all
yeah,
he
like,
said. I'm
and
gonna
like,
get some cigarettes and then never came
yeah,
back.
it never came back. Um, but it's like it's been phenomenal watching it grow and watching the storytelling in it evolve and watching more people take it seriously. Watching it become more and more of a business has been immensely important in terms of people taking it seriously. But
Yeah.
also like if you got into this field or this medium or this hobby or this passion, chances are you didn't do it for validation. Like we
Yeah,
got,
no.
like, and so like that's what's been fucking awesome about it is like let people not fucking get it. Let people not notice it. Let people ignore it until it's too late. We got here because like we were made fun of. We're nerds. We got ostracized. We're geeks. We're,
Okay.
you know,
But I
like
was gonna say I was ostracized from other gamers,
well,
which is crazy.
that's what's
Like,
fucked up.
yeah, yeah,
That's so that and that's happened a lot recently.
yeah.
We've all turned on each other, and that's fucked up. That I fucking hate. Like like I'm from New Jersey. I'm an Italian man. I love to dunk on people. I think it's fun. Some good ribbing is a fun time. Like a little tit for tat, like talk shit, but get it back too, right? Have a little bit of that. And I like that's why I love being friends with you, because I feel like we can just talk shit and just we're everything's good,
Yeah, I've
right?
been
Like
roasting you this whole time.
yeah, like you said, I dress like a SoundCloud rapper, right? And I'm like, great,
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah, I said you dress like an undercover cop. We're friends. That strengthened our friendship, right? Um, the fact that we've turned on each other over the last few years as a collective group of people that are conjoined by this adoration of one thing that
Mike just broke off of
your mic gave up, that that
It's
we were
okay, I got
originally
this.
ostracized for is shitty. It sucks, right? And so I
Well,
would, you know,
for me, I was saying it's the opposite, which I'm gonna disagree with you on a
go
score
for it.
right now. So in high school, I had a
Please
lot of
do.
male friends because I was a tomboy, uh, and that's because I wanted to have girlfriends. Like you know how you see the pick me girls and like, oh my god, girls are such drama. I was like the opposite. I was like, please be my friend.
Right.
I'll shave my pubes the way you do. I'll do anything for you. Like I just want to be your friends. Like I was desperate.
How would they even know? Like are they're just like you're getting to
I just,
school, they're like
I just how do you do your nails? How do you shave your pubes? What do you wear? What deodorant? Like I will do all of that. I needed girlfriends, but because I was so into like anime and gaming, like I just connected more with the males, but like, teenage dudes were the fucking worst. So like
right.
we connected because we were all playing like I was playing Nintendo, they were playing PlayStation, like Dreamcast, that era, junior high, and then high school came when everyone started getting like first person shooters. So they're all playing Halo. And then I got bullied because I didn't want to play that stuff. So then the
Right.
fake gamer shit came out saying like I was just playing games for attention when I was just like, I just really like Zelda and Metroid. And like, I'm sorry, like I couldn't afford a PC. I couldn't play, like anytime I wanted something like, we got one big gift a year because my parents didn't have a lot of money. So it was like, I just want the new Nintendo console. That's all I want.
Right.
And so now, like when I started streaming, I was like, is this going to be an issue? Because I obviously know like any entertainment industry is male dominated. And with my history of dealing with guys in the gaming industry, am I going to experience the same backlash now? But like I posted this on my story recently that I'm starting Metal Gear Solid for the first time, which I know is like a massively like one of the most popular gaming series of all time, but I only played like a little bit of 5. And so I thought like if I play this, like are people gonna bully me? Like my mind went back to when I was like 15 years old with the fake gamer shit, but really it's because so many gamers now crave seeing people who haven't been spoiled by their favorite games that it was just so welcoming.
That's
like
awesome.
everyone, yeah, which is like the same thing with like Yakuza. It's like you find people are like, oh my god, this person's never played this game. I have to watch their reaction.
Right.
And like, yeah, so like, yes, there is like this whole turn against thing because like that's just the nature of any entertainment industry. But at the same time, it's like because people who felt isolated when they're younger because they didn't have anyone to bond with now see there's a whole community around it. They crave that content.
No, that rules.
Yeah.
There's like this magical sort of like parental or big brother big sister program thing to that where you're just kind of like hanging back and you're like, this person is going to enjoy this thing for the first time and I'm just going to stand there like proud and being like, this is fucking so cool to see. Like I think that's an incredible byproduct of how this is spread and how many people it's reached.
Yeah, you
like,
don't get that
really
shit
cool.
in comedy.
No.
You know, oh, another girl on stage. Ugh, what's she gonna talk about her vagina and dating?
Well,
like
that, yeah. I mean that is like I think in that
like
field specifically, there's a lot of like arm crossing judgment. Like I have to be better.
People who are shocked at any not safe for work terms have clearly never watched these streams before because they're wildly inappropriate. And I'm sorry, you know, if you have to earmuff it, go right ahead. But anyway,
yeah. I mean, if you
I'm on my second IPA, okay, you know it's only gonna get worse.
If you heard I was coming on, like you at the beginning of the show, you're like, heads up,
very Christian Brian is gonna be on. Never said a swear in his life.
But like, I don't know.
But yeah, you're right. Like my joining EG, like I was a little hesitant about it because it was during like there was a whole Me Too movement with like Twitch and like esports and stuff. And then of course I have an esports company reaching out to me asking me if I want to like kind of be sort of the face for them. And I was like, well, I don't know, like I already work in one predatory industry. Do I want to work in two? You know, like that was my mind.
Right.
But then, of course, Nicole being our CEO and my boss being Taylor, I was like, I felt so much more comforting, like going into it because I was like, wow, like this organization is run by women, but also, like, yes, like you're gonna deal with shitty fucking dudes in any industry, and I think gaming is probably the most because everyone's incredibly online. You don't have to see them face to face. Like if I deal with shitty dudes in comedy, it's just guys coming me after my show and telling me that they're funny one in their friend group. Like that's
Right.
it.
Right.
Like they don't acknowledge my set and then they just tell me they're really bad, like borderline transphobic joke, and I have to just sit there and nod and be like, yeah, dude, like go do an open mic. It's like,
Yeah. Get
like
started.
yeah,
Go.
but like here you get people like legitimately like this person's behind a screen so I can say whatever I want to them.
Hmm.
But I try to be, like, an advocate to be like, "It's not just gamers, like, you're gonna find that anywhere." Especially if you're a woman. Like, if especially if you're just not a dude. Like, you're just gonna find that yeah.
Absolutely.
But it is weird, though, because, like, being in this industry, it's like you have like League of Legends, for example. Like that's obviously our LCS team is like our big star right now in Evil
Hmm.
Geniuses. And for me, I was always hesitant to play League of Legends because I know I've heard of people's like experiences with the game and like the fan base. And so it's like you either got the people who are going to be really toxic because you're new to the game and they aren't and they don't want you to have a good experience and they're gatekeepers, or you have people who are like excited that you've never experienced a game that they love and they really want to help you through it. It's
Right.
weird.
No,
It's
and I
interesting.
love that. And the thing is, like, so I've been doing this for a long time, but it doesn't mean that I'm an expert at everything because I still have numerous blinds, or kind of
Oh
like
yeah.
there are like I'm not super big on like Halo lore or Mass Effect. League of Legends as a concept is borderline threatening to me because it's so overwhelming. It feels like going to a foreign country where everyone is fluent in something and they're so good at it, and I step in, I'm just like I have a like topical understanding of what this is, and that's my thing has always been like get a basic understanding of what something is, whether or not it's going to end up in your wheelhouse or end up as one of your favorite franchises, and also don't be immediately dismissive of something that is not for you or that you don't understand, right? Like because like not this medium and this industry has spread so far and so wide. We were talking about a fucking anti-smoking simulator before. Like that was someone's game of the year that year because like it helped them quit smoking, hopefully for several years, hopefully forever, right? But for you and me, we're like, haha, that's fucking
They're just
hilarious.
smoking their stylus.
Yeah, but like, and to what if that was the whole game? They were just like, just pretend to smoke this instead.
They're just conditioned to stick a stick in their mouth.
Blow into the microphone. We'll do
That is
fake
too
smoke on the
funny.
screen and just smoke this.
That's
Um,
hilarious.
but so my thing has been like, and it took me a long time to learn this, right? Is like, don't just be dismissive of like genres or mediums or things in gaming that you don't necessarily understand or you aren't into. Respect those things. Understand why people are into them, even if they're not for you. And so that's why when I watch like a Nintendo Direct or like a PlayStation, showcase or something like that, or like
Which are
a
both tomorrow.
which are both tomorrow. I know I'm I got a nice 12-hour day ahead of me tomorrow.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're probably pretty busy.
No, it's gonna be fun. I love it. But when moments in those things happen where there's a bunch of back-to-back shit that I'm not into at all, older me would have been like, this is the
Ugh,
worst
yeah.
thing ever. But like, or no, younger me, older me is kind of like, like every single part of this was built to hopefully make somebody happy within those pockets of those genres and those subsections of video games that
Oh,
are
absolutely.
yeah, that are not necessarily for me.
It
Like
also
am I
makes you
if
realize how big video game is. Like people
exactly.
I get so many people are like, "Why don't you play this game, this game, this?" And it's like, I mean, you've definitely played way more video games than I have 'cause it's been your job forever. But like I still am like, yeah, I've definitely played probably close to 1,000 games in my life, and there's still so many things, even big franchises I still haven't hit
Right.
because there's it's like movies. It's like I'm really into action and comedy, but it's like I haven't seen a lot of dramas, I haven't seen a lot of this. Like, yeah, it's crazy, like, how
Mhm.
much people who invented Pong video games are still alive today and seeing how much this has grown, and that's
I
fucking
know.
crazy to
And,
me.
like, they probably don't have a favorite Overwatch character, right? Because like, they're like, "I'm tired. Can I go to sleep now? I'm 80 years old. I've been doing this forever." And so, like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I think that if you can look at all of this and be like, it's grown borderline out of control, but in the best way possible, and it's filled with so many different subgenres that make so many different people happy. Um, and that you don't have to be an expert on all of it. You don't have to understand all of it, but you have to understand why people would like some of it.
And why it's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just do what I do and like watch a Nintendo Direct. Don't be upset that it didn't cater to you specifically. Just be mad that we still didn't get like a Breath of the Wild 2 release date. Just do that.
Right?
Like, you
It's
know,
the same.
assuming we don't. Like you can still find specific things to be disappointed and mad about, but like large
I get envious of people who get excited about, like, a Genshin character, and I'm like, "I wish I could
I
get excited
know.
about that," right? Like
I know. Like I worked Gamescom in Germany a couple weeks ago. Genshin had a massive booth there, and there were people swarmed around it playing like the new update on an iPad. And I was just kind of like, you can do that on your phone right now. You don't have to go and like, you know, and like then I walked out and I was like, yeah, but they're they're not doing that with like-minded people who love the game in the booth decorated like it. And like, yeah, like if you told me you can play this new Zelda demo on your Switch, cool. But if you told me I could do it like at E3 underneath a Triforce surrounded by a forest and they had like spotlighted a bunch of
right?
Navi fairies around it, I'd be like, booking a flight, going, gotta go,
Right?
gotta go.
That's
Like,
why it's so cool talking to you because, like, I'm just now getting into this industry, and you've been in it for a while. So for
mhm,
me, like, this I'm learning so much because, like, this year was my first year I went to EVO, and, like, I haven't played a fighting game since Soul Calibur 2, and that was only because Link was in it. Like, that
right.
was, like, my motivation, obviously.
That was like the first fighting game I got super into because Link was there.
Yeah,
Like,
like, that was smart on the developers' end to do that because they knew, like, this is gonna get some new fans, and
yep,
so I was really excited to go though because I've always felt bad that I wasn't more involved on the esports side of my industry. So when we went to Evo, I fucking loved it.
I could
I
tell it was like,
loved the energy. It's like I love sporting events so much. Like if anyone wants to invite me to a football game, basketball, whatever, I will go because I love the energy. But the thing is that's because I want to just go somewhere where there's people having fun. But
right.
the and that's like a lot of people. They just go to sporting events to go to them. But people don't do that with esports. They go to esports events because they fucking love the game and
Hmm.
the players. And so there's a different level of energy and passion involved when every single person there is obsessed with what's going on. I fucking loved it. And I was just like it was so awesome to see like Mortal Kombat 11 and to watch Guilty Gear and Skullgirls watching Sonic Fox and Sage against each other on
No,
Skullgirls.
your enthusiasm was infectious. It was like one of those things where it's like you can just tell the person here gets what's happening and is having a fucking good time. Even if you don't understand like the granular, you know, hit boxes and like all those little things.
Right?
And like so like to be totally honest, like I I like resented the idea of esports early on in my gaming career because like,
Major League Gaming.
well, yeah, all yeah,
Yeah.
that stuff. I was like, I thought that like video games were created, um, sort of like in the shadows of sports, right?
Yeah.
Like the sports guys, the big jock guys, like the school bullies and stuff like that, the loud bravado, all that shit was over here, and then video games were like down here, and we're like, well, we have single player quests, and we have you can go on an adventure, and you can save princess, fight the dragon, and stuff like that. I was like, that's the opposite of like
Like
16
no one
people
has
work.
friends when they do this.
Yeah, exactly. It's the opposite of like working together on the team. We all have the same shirts and hats and stuff like that. And so I resented it. And I came to California in 2009. I basically had the job at IGN, but I got one of those like, can I come check out the office before, you know, I work here. And my boss at the time, this dude named Will Tuttle, who works at Xbox, fucking awesome guy, changed my life. Took me out of being like a guy writing articles by himself on the East Coast to you're working in an industry now, or you're part of like a big group of people. Go.
You're representative, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so I was at a hotel. I was at a Sheraton hotel in Fisherman's Wharf in San Francisco, which is like the most touristy part of the city, right? Like it's just not even remotely indicative of the rest of the city. And like I kind of woke up like we went out to the office, met everybody, had a great time, went out for drinks. I slept in a little the next morning, woke up a little bleary-eyed, a little hungover, and I looked around and there was a bunch of people in the lobby wearing Street Fighter t-shirts. And I was like, this is fucking weird. Like, why are all these Street Fighter people on vacation in San Francisco while I'm here?
And some street fights just start breaking out. You're just like, oh shit, this is real Street Fighter.
Yeah, exactly. And they had like lanyards, and I had known what a lanyard was because several years before, I'd used my mom's printer to fake press credentials to sneak in a New York Comic Con.
Wow.
And, yeah.
What a dangerous nerd.
I know, right? Doing a little crime on the side. And so
Bad boy. Did you ever watch Nathan For You?
Yes.
Did you ever see the hunk where he's like, I'm kind of a bad boy? Like that's what that reminded me of, is you saying that.
It's like not a real crime at all. Yeah, so I looked around and like they're wearing Street Fighter t-shirts, and they're wearing these like lanyards and shit, like with the badges and everything. And I text my boss and I'm like, what's going on with this shit? And he was like, there's a Street Fighter tournament happening out of like an airplane hangar there at like Fort Mason Pavilion. That's what it is. And he's like, I can get you in if you want. Like I can get you a press pass. And I was like a real one? Like one I don't have to print on my mom's computer. And he goes, yeah, sure. So I get there and there's like a ton of people waiting in line. And on the side, there's a press line and there's only 4 people in it. And I just walk up and I'm like, press? And they're like, come on in.
You're like confused.
And I was like, what the fuck?
Ron Burgundy?
Yeah, exactly. And I get in there and there's just like a fucking massive airplane hangar full of people looking at a gigantic ass TV, and there's on stage a bunch of fighting sticks. And I was like, what did I just get myself into? And people started going up and competing, and the crowd went fucking nuts. And I went in 4 seconds from being like, I don't understand this. Who is this for? Why am I here? To, oh shit, this is infectious. Like there's something about this that is like so fucking fun. And I just looked at the energy in the room, immediately caught on to it. And from then on, I was like, I get it. Will I be here every year? Probably not. Will I like track this for the rest of my life? Doubtful. Do I understand why people love it? 100%.
Oh yeah. And I just love to be around passionate people. It doesn't matter what, as long as it's not a passion that like hurts people. Right. You know, but it's like if it's like if you're
10 people killing one guy.
Yeah, you're just like, I love being a Nazi. Like I'd be like, maybe you should find a new hobby. You know what I mean?
Like, right? Like
it's no, it is very infectious, and it's something I'm not used to. Like I've never had a job like care about me as a creator, because it's like you're on camera. Like you're not using a physical skill, you're using your mind. Like this is you. Like we want to make sure you are okay. And I was like, wait, we have a mental health check? What is this? Like you guys care about me? You guys want to know my interests and what I'm into? It is crazy. And it's like it's weird because, the whole reason why I started doing stand-up comedy was because I was like, well, obviously because I'm hilarious, but also because like I originally like wanted to do like more gaming anime stuff. Like I was like, eventually I want to like start telling, because I never saw a lot of comedians do that. And I was like, well, I want to do that. And it's very hard. It's really hard when most of your audience is like divorced white women in their 50s. Like they don't know what fucking Naruto is, They'd be like, I think my son likes that and he's like 12. Like he's not coming to my comedy shows though. So it's been kind of hard for me to do that. So streaming was like my big dip into being like, okay, like this is my community. Like this is where I can be myself. And now that I've done streaming for 2 years, I have managed to find a way to tell more niche stuff like on stage and like be broad enough for it, because I have so many friends that had no idea how big the gaming industry was. I'm still friends with a lot of my high school friends, like not the gamer bros. I dumped them. They're all shitty people. But like, like the friends I had that were like, I think Lisa's a gamer. I think she's a Twitcher. They always say to me, she's a Twitcher. It's my friend Lisa. She's a Twitcher. I'm a
That's
streamer on Twitch, not a
that's
Twitcher. Like
that's so
it's
close to calling you a tweaker.
right. It's like she's a Twitcher. Like, but they don't know. They're just like, this is my friend Lisa. This is what she does.
My friend Lisa's a crackhead.
Right? She's very much herself, like she loves anime. Like that's can you not sell me the minute that you like can I introduce that later on after I've talked about the cool parts of me for a while? But it is funny because I realized like there was such a disconnect between people like our age, and because it's like they didn't know what Twitch was. Like I had to explain what that was, and me just explaining it basically got me to write material that was more broad for other audiences, because I'm like, me just explaining what the hell this is to you, like getting paid $13 a month to have kids bully me on the internet. There you go. There's a joke on stage. And so it was very weird that it took me like actually dipping into the industry to actually figure out first cat appearance. Sorry.
No, it's fine. Go for it.
You just brushed against my legs. They do this. They like know. They'd be like, you have like a half hour left. Okay, it's almost feeding time. Like
They're like, are you ramping up on a story right now? Are you like at the crescendo of a story?
Right?
Here I
Like
am.
they'd be like, I can hear your voice getting higher, getting a little more drunk. I can hear it. Anyways, so but like going into, I guess, streaming and stuff made me better as a writer, as a comedian, because I never was able to figure out like how am I ever gonna bring this to a broader audience.
Right.
And like you were saying earlier, there's so many different types of gamers and gaming. Like I will talk about a game to somebody who's been playing games professionally for 15 years. They have no idea what I'm talking about because it's completely outside of their realm of expertise. And that's just fucking crazy to me, because like I grew up like in the 90s, like my first console was a Nintendo, and then a Super Nintendo. Like I was basically always Nintendo. I didn't have my first PC game till like maybe 2008, and I think it was like Super Meat Boy, and I was like, fuck this game, I'm never playing this game again. It was too fucking hard.
You're like, is this PC gaming? It just kills you 1,000 times in 4 seconds.
So I've been going to PAX since 2008, and the main reason why I went to PAX is because they really focused on indie games, and I was never able to play those because I never had a PC, so I would go to PAX and play them. Like that was my motivation for going. And just seeing how much that has grown over time is great. Like I'm so stressed out about these the PlayStation Nintendo Direct tomorrow because my wallet is gonna hate me, like and that's just something I never had to worry about. It's just it's really cool is all I gotta say.
Like I grew up like through the Nintendo path as well, I would say. And like it's pretty easy because you were like, well, I just buy like a couple games a year, and it's like there's some Marios, there's some Zeldas, there's some Mario Karts, some Zelda Karts, or whatever.
Wait, hold on. Tell Brian about the friend you ruined with Stardew Valley. Sorry, I've not been reading it. So my best friend Sam, bless her heart, never played a video game in her life. And like to me, this is a hilarious story. So she loves cats. Like she's obsessed with cats. And she saw that there's a cat game coming out called Stray. And she was like, I want to play it. And I was like, okay, come over. We'll download it and we'll play it. She sat on my couch for 4 hours playing this game. And I was like, do you want a break? And she was like, I can't. Every time I look at the screen, it's just so cute, and like I'm in love with it, and I can't stop playing. I was like, this is how I feel when I play Yakuza games, girl. I feel you. Like I can't stop. He's just so cute and cuddly, this haggard old Japanese criminal. I'm just obsessed with him, And so she was like, well, I want more like games to play, because like one of her friends got a PS5 and gave her a PS4, and I was like, this is dangerous. Right. But she's 33 years old, never played a video game in her life. She got obsessed with Stray. She's like, I need something cute to play. And this is really funny. I was like, something you might like is Stardew Valley. And the way I sold it to her, not to insult her, is said the guy who made it is really hot. That's what I told her. I was like, it's a farm simulator game. She's like, I was like, yeah, you can like date anybody, like there's combat, blah, blah. And I said, but the guy who made it's really hot. She goes, oh. Okay.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Like, I'm like, I know this girl. I know it'll sell her. I was like, also, he went to Auburn High School, which is like 10 minutes from us. So, he's a local guy and he's hot. And I don't know if he's single, but this is his game. And that, for some reason, sold her. And she put 60 hours into the game in 2 weeks. By the end of the first week, she was in year 2.
Holy fuck.
I know. I
Was
know my
this
friends.
like during the pandemic
No,
or
this was like a month ago.
oh, it was a month ago?
She's still playing it, and I added her as a friend, and I texted her, like, a few days ago, like, I'm going to LA with her in a couple days. I was like, I see you're trying to get some Stardew Valley in before our trip." She goes, "How did you know? How do you know that I'm playing this game?" I was like, "Oh, I'm your friend on PlayStation." She goes, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "Oh my god, you sweet summer child." But, like, it's like I know my friends a little too well, so I knew exactly how to sell the game. Now she's obsessed. Now she's like, "Well, now I need another game that's like this." And she like tuned in on one of my streams. She's like, "I saw you're playing this lamb game. What is that? Oh, Cult of the Lamb? It's like Stardew Valley, but like you have like a cult." She's like, "I want to play it." I was like, I kind of regret showing you this part of my life. I need you to keep me grounded.
I
Okay.
know.
Like I need my friends that aren't gamers to keep me grounded and attractive. Like I can't have
Yeah.
you dip into this part of my life.
You need like a tether to the outside world that's kind of just like, hey, if things go bad here, can I grab onto you and like escape back to reality? And she's like, no.
She didn't know that I could see everything she was playing too, which was really funny. She goes, "Why do they have that? That's a creepy feature." I'm like, "Well, it's been a feature for decades. I don't know if they do that." She's like, "Oh my god, I hate that so much." I'm like, "You can keep it private, but
Yeah,
I'm
I
also
mean,
your only friend, and I know what you're doing at all times."
you're texting me about it anyway, so it's like I'm gonna find out. The
I'm
funny thing
also
about
pissed. I was gonna say I'm also pissed because she's better at the game than I was.
really?
Yeah. She's gotten so much more done than I have. And I was like, "Oh," because it's like I love Stardew Valley, but I cared way more about the combat shit and never cared about the farm stuff. And her farm is like thriving. I was like, "Whatever, bitch. This is like your second video game, okay?"
You're just like you're walking around with like a katana sword and like no food.
Right? In a year, she's like beating Dark Souls with a dance pad. Sorry, back to what you're saying.
No, I think it's really funny how like over the last few years, a lot of people have kind of like dipped into video games,
Uh-huh.
and it's been so wonderful. That was like we were talking about before, right? Like the sort of the slow plodding mainstream acceptance of what we do. We don't need it, but like it's nice when it happens where people were just like I did this like charity live stream through IGN where I would just like play Animal Crossing with people, and it was fucking awesome because I got to meet all these people I was like I really respect, and sit down and like visit their towns. I hung out with Simu Liu, who's
Oh, that's awesome. Oh
fucking
my god.
Shang-Chi. And he was like, here's I built all these gyms in my town because like I have to work out all the time because I'm on the Marvel diet and my movie's delayed and like I don't know when they're gonna need me to like run out there and like, you know, bulk up or whatever. But like he's just the fucking nicest dude in the world, and
Because they're all
like
nerds.
it is all
That's what we
nerds.
realized. We're all nerds.
Yeah, and like you're just you meet in this thing that's like this, you know, joined shared interest, and it rules. I like that's why like yes, there's negativity, yes, there's hatefulness, yes, there's tons of toxicity in this industry. And it kills me. Like it bums me out because it's like we're here for entertainment purposes to begin with. But there's also so many moments where people come together and they can like hang out because of this that wasn't there 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. You know, back to your
Absolutely.
original question
Because back
basically.
then, well, I know. Like I said, I'm all over the place.
No, same, same.
And I love it. That's why
I
we
wouldn't have done
bonded.
this I wouldn't have done this otherwise.
But like, you know, it's the same thing with like I said, like 8 years in stand-up. I've met a lot. I've been really like I've met some great like Kevin Nealon. I met Kevin Nealon. I love
No
him.
shit.
Absolutely one of
I
the sweetest
fucking
people
love
I've
that dude.
Oh, he's so I met Norm Macdonald, you know, rest in peace. And all he talked about was how he could buy weed in Seattle. It was the funny. He's like so many of those older comedians are just so humble, and they're like kind of like us. I shouldn't say like us, but they're kind of like people. It's like they've seen stand up grow over the years and they appreciate for what it is. But then you see like a lot of newer stand up comedians, and they're all kind of like a little egotistical. I mean, we all kind of are. I mean, because that's the nature of our job is I'm so funny, you have to laugh at what I have to say. Like,
Right.
but like some people are kind of assholes about that. Like, I don't want to name names. I've met famous female comedians that I really loved, and I was like, we need more females in comedy. And one of them was like, "No, we don't. We should have less because I don't like any of the women that do comedy." She's like, "I don't think women are like." She went on this whole tangent of how women aren't funny, but she was like one of the funny ones, and I was like,
That sucks.
gross, you know? And so, like, that kind of ruined my wanting to meet people in the industry, like, mindset. Like, I was just like, "I'm just gonna work for myself and not care about who I meet." But, like, the good thing with gaming industry is that we didn't start off as egotistical people with a microphone. We started off as gamers. And so,
Hmm.
like, in the end, everyone is a nerd at heart. Like, yes, there are people who are awful, and they have been, they've faced the consequences for them or will be, but like 90% of people I met are very welcoming, they're very sweet, like doing the Yakuza streams, the MGS streams, like people just coming in, they're just excited to see someone not play. It's like that's why I continue to do this.
The
Like,
core activity of this is sort of isolated, right? And like,
yeah. Same thing
I
with
think,
Souls games. Like I was like, I'm
yeah,
terrible at these. Everyone's gonna hate me, but everyone was just excited to see somebody play it. Like they're just like, oh, like someone's getting into Bloodborne. Like I love seeing people's reactions to the game or how they play it. And it's like, fuck, this is why I love doing this shit. You
also,
know?
like, I fucking love Bloodborne. I've that is like a large part of my adult personality is that game, and I platinumed that game. It's one of my happiest moments. But also,
Out of 100 moments in your life, it's
yeah,
one of your happy.
honestly, yes, honestly, yes. Fuck that, honestly, yes. But also, I'll see people play that game. I always play that game as like a just like a fucking piece of shit with like a like a shiv, and I'll just like cut people and hurt them. But I see people play that game like weird wizard magicians, and they're dressed in alien clothes, and they're like 400 feet away from like any enemy, and they're just like casting thing, and I'm like, I don't even understand what game you're playing right now. Like you can have you can have two people with the exact same favorite game who play those games completely differently, but meet in the middle for that love of that whatever that game is. Like,
You're gonna love this or hate it, but I'm starting next week when I get back from LA. I'm starting my Bloodborne back piece.
oh good.
I'm getting a Bloodborne tattoo on my back, and I heard it's the worst place to tattoo, but I just love the game, and the game is pain, and tattoos are pain.
What are you getting tattooed?
I'm getting the doll tattooed on my back.
Oh no shit, that's fucking awesome.
I'm getting the doll and the Firekeeper from DS3 because my tattoo artist is really good at tattooing women, and so like girl designs, and so I have so many dudes on my body, which out of context sounds bad. I have so many guys tattooed on my body that I wanted more women. And I have Midna, and I was like, what could I do? And I was like, I want the doll and the Firekeeper. So,
How great is your
but
tattoo
yes,
artist?
great point.
Yes.
Before I interrupted that.
No. You're doing good. How you and I were texting about this the other day. How great is your tattoo artist at capturing the likeness of the wet bandits from Home Alone?
She would be amazing at it. She does a
Okay.
lot of portraits. I know we're
Okay.
gonna get matching wet bandits
So
tattoos.
so I have zero tattoos, right? None.
Uh-huh.
And you and I had like had a very stupid conversation the other day where I was like, you have tons of them and I have none.
Most of my conversations are stupid, but
Yeah,
yes,
fair
like
enough. Fair enough. Same. It's not like you accidentally texted a scholar and I was like,
Oh,
"Ooh,
I
is
feel
this?"
honored to now be in the group of stupid people with stupid conversations, text messaging that I'm honored to make that level of
Of
friendship with
course.
you.
I only have super like I tweeted the other day of like a bunch of it was screen caps of me texting my friends about like
The cereal.
yeah, like Count
Yeah, I saw
Chocula.
that.
Like I have a Count Chocula action figure right here. His head fell off. So
I
things
like
are
how it's
going
called an
well.
action figure. It's cereal, but yes.
But we were saying that like what I forget, we made a bet. And what was the
If
like
one of the wet bandits got into the multiverse, that we would get
all
tattooed
right,
on.
that's
I mean, like, I'm pretty sure the Gizmo from the Gremlins is gonna be there, so it's
okay.
actually a high possibility it might happen.
Okay, I will like raise the bet or soften it or whatever. If the wet bandits show up in any video game
Okay.
from here on out, not like Home Alone for Super Nintendo, but like from here on out, this doesn't work backwards. I will get a wet bandits tattoo,
Oh,
and
yeah.
you have to do the same thing.
It's the funny thing about tattoos is, like, I love when we were, like, 18 to 20, whatever, we were like, "I only want tattoos if they're meaningful," but, like,
Hmm.
I'm legitimately getting you remember that meme from Devil May Cry 5 of Virgil sitting in the lawn chair? I don't know if
Right.
you've seen that. I'm getting that
Yes.
tattooed on me because my I lost a subathon thing, and so when I'm done with my Bloodborne back piece, I'm getting Virgil in a lawn chair tattooed on me. So like my body is a canvas for stupid shit at this point. I'll be
Can you
7
get
years.
Can you get that? Do you know that there's that sticker, the
Uh-huh.
Devil May Cry sticker? Do you know about that?
You mean the ones like featuring Dante?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can,
Are we gonna
can,
say featuring the bandits from Home Alone? Because that would be an amazing tattoo. Because it'd make no fucking sense to anyone who hasn't heard this stream. Like, what is featuring it? Obviously, this video game that is my body.
I was gonna suggest for your Devil May Cry tattoo, but this is next level. That's very good.
That's next level because it's a meme of a meme.
That's way too deep. But that's my thing. It's like either either your tattoo has to be important or none of them do. And I need to get to the point where I just don't care anymore.
I
And
mean, it is important because it's like, this is how dumb my friendships are that I will get this stupid tattoo. And that's important to me. And guess what? It's a friendship built on gaming, which are one of the top movements in your life. Whoever tweeted that shit. I think it was like some DJ, probably with no life. But he was like, fuck anyone who plays video games. Anyways, I will get most things tattooed on me at this point. Like, I don't care. Like,
go for it. Go
my
for it.
parents hate it. I lived so
Really?
like the girl who did my Zelda sleeve, I was her roommate and I had no tattoos before I lived with her. When I moved out, I had a full sleeve.
Oh.
My parents were like, "You know what? It's fine." My parents had two rules growing up. They're like, "You can do any drug, you can do anything you want. You're just not allowed to have tattoos or smoke cigarettes." Luckily, I was allergic to tobacco, so I chose tattoos as my rebellion.
That's kind of fucking awesome though.
DJ Vlad, we don't have to, you know what, whatever. People do shit for bait now. That's
I
another
know.
thing about the gaming, not just gaming, but YouTubing stuff that has really bothered me is that so many things are based around reaction than it is actually like attraction. Like it's like, yeah.
My take on that whole culture is that it's basically like somebody standing up in a crowded restaurant and being like, "This tastes like shit, try it," and then they just run around with a spoon, and then everyone has to take a bite. And like to signal boost things that we don't like is antithetical to why we're here, right? Like,
right?
yes, you know,
We
like
had a miserable pandemic. No one wants to be miserable anymore.
everything is so bad everywhere, always, constantly. Just share shit you love, vent about shit you hate for sure, and be vocal about things that bring you discomfort or you dislike. But to just like grab and gravitate onto these takes that are very clearly built to farm engagement.
Who has energy? Like
I
the
know,
pandemic was
just
awful for everyone. Like, can we like I can't even watch a sad anime anymore. Like I
yeah,
need
it's just
everything to be I'm rewatching The Simpsons. Like that is why that is me right now, just quoting The Simpsons all the time because I'm like, I can't watch sad shit anymore. Like I have so much going on that like when I have my free time, I don't want to watch things that make me angry or upset. So I don't get it either. It's like they're doing it because they know it'll work.
It'll work.
Basically,
Yeah.
you know.
Like they'll get to take those metrics, they'll screen cap those metrics and bring them to an advertiser and go, "Hey, I got like 56 million engagements this month." And
saying Link sucks.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, you just got to go online and just be like, Bloodborne's actually a shitty game. You don't have to even back it up. You could just be like, or you just think now everything's a question. You go like, "I don't even know why people like Bloodborne. Seems stupid to keep dying just to see a haunted house." And tweet,
Some of us love suffering, sir.
Yeah, we do.
Okay?
We do. I know that flies in the face of everything we just said about engaging with things you love that bring you joy, but that does bring me joy. I actually enjoy to get my ass kicked by a fun
I've
game.
suffered my whole life. It's about time someone I play as suffers too,
Exactly. I was going to ask you about something. So you do stand-up comedy and you also Twitch stream. Those are sort of diametric ideologies, right? Like one of those things is very conditioned and rehearsed and recited, and you're like
the other thing is just me.
and like so like I've always been a fan sort of ideologically of stand-up comedy, and I've dabbled in it in the forms of like we used to host like live comedy, like we would do like a live comedy show at IGN with Greg Miller, Mike Drucker, who's gone on to like win Emmys for TV. Yeah,
Mike Drucker is like for me like a dream job.
Shout out to Mike Drucker.
Yeah,
one of my favorite people on planet Earth. Not like one of those people I would ask to help me move.
Yeah, but definitely like just to like get a good laugh or some advice from. Yeah,
but a great friend. not like a move furniture friend, but a great friend, and he'll appreciate that joke. I fucking love Mike. And we used
I've
to
been
like,
sending him so he knows who I am because he doesn't
yeah,
know who I am yet.
I will.
I'm just
I'll
kidding.
send him I'll send him your way. He'll love you. He so we would like open up for the comedy show we wrote together, and we just warm up the crowd. And that was the closest I came to like doing kind of like vaguely rehearsed stuff that was
Yeah.
like, you know, like everybody has like bits that they have baked into their brain that they keep doing. But from there on out, I was always just like, I'm more comfortable and I'm funnier and I'm happier doing completely unrehearsed stuff that's kind of just like off the cuff, right? Like we just did, you and I have been hanging out for 2.5 hours together. I haven't, it feels like 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Like it just flies. Exactly. And, but you recite stuff, you rehearse stuff, you go on stage, you perfect it. And then you come home and you go on Twitch and it's completely laid back. It's not rehearsed. You're not really doing anything. You're not worried about like if there's a reaction. Like what's it like dealing with those sort of
I like I'm getting interviewed by you.
No, sure. Like
it makes me feel so cool.
No, you
I'm
are.
gonna put this on my LinkedIn. No, it is very odd. I've talked about this before. It's weird because like yeah, like stand up is very much like that's me on stage, but like I wrote that.
Right.
And actually I had this recently because I've been posting like TikToks and reels and they've been doing really good, and like was like, well, maybe I don't have anything new because it's hard to get booked here. It's Seattle's just not a great scene, I should say.
I had COVID right after Comic-Con, and I was in a tent and I watched one of your reels and it made me laugh so hard.
Which one was it?
It was I was on like several drugs, so bear with me.
That's normally how people laugh at my stuff. They can't be sober.
I feel like it was about Netflix and weed, some sort of intersection of those two.
Oh, was it on my weed jokes about the really long recap? Stupid joke. Anyway, but yeah.
But it worked.
My whole goal in comedy is to make things like silly. Like I'm just like it's so funny meeting people and being like, oh my God, is it hard to do comedy because you have to be so PC? I'm like, I don't know. I've never told a racist joke in my life. Like all my jokes are about smoking weed and like my stoner parents. Like nothing I'd ever have to be like, oh, this might cause a backlash because I'm not a terrible person. Sorry. Like, you know what I mean? But like, no, it is weird because like, yeah, stand-up is very rehearsed. And recently, because I've been posting more reels and stuff, I was like, well, maybe, I don't have anything new. Maybe I'll go back and watch my old things and see if anything works. And what I noticed is that like my older comedy was so self-deprecating. And like, I could just be like, oh my God, I hated myself. Like all my jokes are about how I'm like, like nobody likes me. Oh my God, I do so many drugs. Like I have no money. Like I bought, like all my jokes were so focused around like really downplaying who I am as a person.
Right.
And it was just like, wow, I cannot believe I got away with doing that shit for so long. And now like most of my jokes are like silly moments in my life. And I think like, obviously like my self-image has gotten better and like streaming has really helped with that, but like it is very funny that as much as I don't want to say like yes, stand-up is all rehearsed, it's not me, it very much is me and where my mindset is right now. So everything I write now is like really silly, and like I do practice a lot of bits on stream, even though people on stream always ask all the time, tell us a joke. I'm like, you don't realize all 5 hours of this has been a fucking joke, okay? Like everything I say on stream is a joke. You don't realize it. I will literally go back and like I gotta get better. I hate watching myself stream. I don't know why. It's just a weird thing I have. But like, I'll go back on stream and I'll remember something funny I said and I'll clip it and I'll be like, I'm gonna use that for a bit. And I did that recently with like.
No, it's the modern version of like hearing yourself leave a voicemail or something. Yeah. Or like where you're just like, oh, that's me.
It is very funny though, because like I think the only backlash of it is that my concept of time is bad. So like for me, it's like I stream for 4 hours, so I do a 10-minute set, and it's like, oh, I did 13 minutes. I didn't even get to my last joke.
Right.
But like, I love it. I prefer streaming more than comedy, which is weird because I think people see me more as a comedian. But like, I can only write so many jokes about Dark Souls on stage, and people will get it. So my goal now is to focus more on comedy and like trying to make things more niche, and streaming has helped so much with that. Like I don't think I enjoyed comedy until after the pandemic. For 6 years of my life, I was like, I'm only doing this to feel relevant. or to feel like people think I'm cool.
To feel
Like,
something. Yeah.
yeah. And then I think I didn't realize because I didn't appreciate how good I was at it or what I had to offer. And now that I've done streaming and I've been more involved with the gaming community, I've realized like, oh wow, I have a niche that other people don't have. And I really want to embrace that. And because I acknowledge that, it's been really good. It's still hard to get booked though. It's just this is the nature of trying to do stand up after a pandemic. It's like I get a show once a month, maybe, But yeah, I don't know. It is weird switching from like natural mode to like writing mode. Like
No,
it's
I
some
love that. I totally love that. I like
you
that's
probably
that's
know too, like hosting, like what you're talking earlier about, like you like talking about games you're all excited about. There's still a level of you that has to show some kind of like not really fake excitement, but like it's not really you, but you've been doing it for so long, you're just kind of used to it. It's like the same thing with me telling a
yeah.
joke that I'm not really like that's not as accurate anymore. I'm like I'm so used to telling this joke, I just naturally go in this mode. Like driving, it's like you don't think about every moment you do, you
You just do
know.
it because
Yeah.
there's where you're going. Yeah. That makes
Lisa's
perfect sense.
layers. Someone commented that. Oh, you are my
I
focus group. Sorry, guys.
see no, this is why I drag this out of you because I think that's like it's a good way to kind of like show people that there are a lot of different parts to that. Like it's not just focused on the chaos of live streaming. There's also just like you hyper focus on meticulously organizing written jokes, bring them into a stage and hoping they do well. And if they don't, you bring them home and you tweak them a little bit, right?
Oh
Like,
yeah, I told a new joke for the very first time 2 nights ago in front of 70 people. And it was really good until I couldn't come up with a punchline. And I just said, well, that's it. And I left. Like, it was a really good joke. He was super high peak and then just dropped and I just left the stage. And, like, unfortunately, I don't have time to go to open mics because I'm so dedicated to streaming now. That's like, I have to practice jokes like that. But I'm way less, like, insecure about it because it's like, you've been doing it for so long. So like whenever I meet people who are like, how do I get into streaming? How do I get into comedy? I'm sure you get the same questions like, how do I get into what you do? And it's like all the anxiety you feel at first, like you're always gonna have like this nervousness, but over time you just get so used to it. Like you're just
mhm.
like, whatever. Like I'm gonna tell this joke, who's this shit. Nobody here's gonna follow me on Instagram when I'm done anyways. Like there's a bunch of 6-year-old people in the middle of nowhere. They don't even know what Instagram is. It's fine.
So I love what you said right there because we were talking about this like maybe at the beginning of the show, maybe right before we started. You said you get used to it. And you didn't say you get used to like being awesome at it. You said you get used to the anxiety of it. And like
Yeah.
I've always said to myself, like the second that fear of like there's a big thing tomorrow, because my version of like stand-up comedy is that I write scripts for all of our
You do
live
so
shows, right?
much. Like, I feel bad that these 2 hours I have not been able to because I legitimately had so many questions for
No,
you,
this is great.
but this is great. Like, like,
Yeah.
we're friends. I can always ask you more questions, Like,
I hate being interviewed, so this is wonderful. But no, I basically
also
like
your camera turned off randomly.
did it really?
Yeah, it's okay. We can
Okay.
talk to a black screen.
We'll say goodbye in the darkness. Um, but yeah, like I don't know. I think that like it's important to not just be like you'll get so good at it that you'll be amazing and you'll be perfect forever. But like no, you'll get used to the fear of it. It'll always be there a little bit. And for me, if it's not there, then that means it's time for me to leave because I shouldn't do this anymore. If it's
Right?
so easy and so basic and so pathetic that I don't want it anymore, then I shouldn't be there. I should give someone else my spot. If it doesn't scare me, it's not interesting.
Don't worry, guys. We don't have to end right at 7 PM. You're fine. Like, because I was like, "We will."
No.
Your camera's gone. It's okay, we can just look at my face. It's
There we
fine.
go.
There we go. No, it is crazy, like, you have to be really realistic. I have so many streamers oh, you're back. I have so many streamers or not streamers, I have so many comedians because, like, before I did streaming, I was not a big comedian in Seattle at all. Like, I honestly never felt like I really belonged because I didn't have, like, a clique or a group or anything. I just kind of, like I was like, "This is a thing that I do." But now a lot of the streamers, like, notice my growth and they ask me, like, "How do you start being good at streaming, making money?" I'm like, I'm 2 years in and partnered, and I still don't, like, make money. Like, I don't know what you're
Mhm.
asking. Like, no one goes into this thing thinking they're gonna be successful at it. They go into it because they genuinely wanna see what it's like and love it. I didn't go into comedy thinking I'm gonna have a fucking Netflix special. I still don't think I'm gonna have one. I'm 8 years in. I do it because I enjoy it, and yeah, it is nice to have, like, a couple whatever dollars in my pocket from being funny. Like, your mindset should never be going to something thinking you're gonna be famous for it.
Right.
Because then you're not really passionate about it. You're only
No.
caring about the money. Then at that point, you can do fucking anything. If you should go into something because you're genuinely like, this is what you want to do. And like, I have to tell people that. Like, I have a couple comedian friends that want to stream, and they're always like, can you come over and help me with my setup? And I will. And like, sometimes they'll be like, well, don't invest too much money yet because like, you don't know how well you're going to do. And they're like, well, you do really well. I'm like, I don't in the way that you do. I do because I have a great community and I have consistent viewership. But like, if you think my main income is Twitch, you're insane. It's the same thing with comedy. Like, if I get a comedy show and I'm like, I get paid for this, oh, fucking awesome. Like, that's like I don't do things because I expect to make so much money off it. I do things because I want to play video games, experience with other people. I want to make people laugh, and I think that's
Right.
something people don't see is that it's like, I don't wanna say it's like an instant gratification thing, but it's like people go into industries like this thinking like things are gonna hit off for me, or when can things hit off? And it's like, that should never be your mindset in anything that you do.
Because you did this when it wasn't paying you to do this, and you'll hopefully do this after it's paying you to do this, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like at some point, like
I got a casino gig in December, and I was like, "This is gonna be the best gig of the year." My friend's like, "Why?" I'm like, "Free buffet."
it's the little wins like that, right? Like
I love a good casino buffet, and they have the best, and that is half of my payment. And they're like, "You're excited about food?" I'm like, "Yes."
exactly.
Yeah, like, not like, I'm gonna tell jokes, but I also get free food out of it, so I'll take it. Like, "Your payment today? Free beer. Congratulations."
And like it's that multiplied by the enjoyment you had doing it or making it or planning for it. Um Divided by the stress you had doing it or making it or planning for it equals the sum of the parts, and that's what keeps you going, really. Like that's what it all comes down to. You strip away everything, all of anything around it, and that's why you're there. And that applies to
Yeah.
any hobby. That applies to not necessarily any job. Some jobs are just done out of necessity to put food on the table or put money in the bank account. But if you got to something because you love it, hold on to that forever, right?
Right?
That's
And
all you
it's
can
not
really
and
say.
don't be and honestly, I've learned too is like, this is a thing that I've struggled with, and I guess I'll end the stream on this because I think this is very important to talk about, is that I've struggled asking friends for advice and help. Like, I was like, I don't want my friends thinking I'm using them. I want my friends thinking like our relationship is transactional. Like, I'm gonna figure this out myself. And I realized that's not good. Like, it's okay to ask people for advice and help or tips or anything. And
Mhm.
like, don't be scared to do that. And that was my thing is like in comedy, I was like, I've been told like, you're just using me. You're just using me for a show. You're just using me as a producer. And it's like those people have shitty mindsets because they probably had those relationships in the past and they formed around it. But like ever since I started coming to people, I remember I tweeted 2.5 years ago, "Hey, I want to get a job in the gaming industry. How can I start?" I said, "I want to be a job as a writer in anime. How can I start?" Someone DM'd me and said, "Hey, Crunchyroll is looking for a writer for the Crunchyroll anime worlds. Do you want to do that?" That was my first job
That's
because I
fucking
tweeted that.
awesome. That's
Right?
so fucking awesome.
And it's like I was so scared to tweet that because I'm like, I don't want people to think like, oh my God, I have these friends with like clout, or because I have these friends at work here that I can't ask them questions. And it's like, no, you absolutely could. Not saying like you just have to prepare for them not wanting to help you. But
Right.
you should absolutely feel like, don't feel bad if you have to reach out to someone because no one knows where to start? And that's something I've had to learn, and it's helped me tremendously. And now I love when I have the time to help people out if they have questions. I had someone be like, "Can you look at my resume? Because I've done a lot of freelance stuff. Like, I want to see if I'm doing it right." I'm like, "Well, I don't think I'm the best at resume writing, but I can see what I can do because yeah, like it shows that you truly care. Like this is what you don't come be like, "Hey, how do I make money off this?" Like that, you're not asking an authentic question, but like,
No, you
yeah,
man, you just completely nailed it.
Yeah.
Like I tweeted something like that a couple years ago. I was like, it's okay to ask for help. Like if you're stuck at work or like, you're overwhelmed or something like that, like ask people. And the responses mostly from men were kind of just like, thank you, but a lot of them were also like, I can't because then I'm viewed as weak, or I'm viewed as like insubordinate or inefficient. And like I hope we can push the fight to get past that, to get to the point where it's okay to ask for help, because it's so fucking necessary.
Right? Like, it's
Like,
just like, yeah, like, no one knows where to start, and sometimes it's okay to just tweet something. Some opportunity may come to you.
yeah,
It's there's so much I've learned in this industry. Just when you work for people who truly care about you as a person, it really changed your perspective on things. Because when I was working for Microsoft, the whole reason why I did a solo traveling for 4 months is because they didn't realize I was on vacation. They, like, did not give a shit so much about my position that I was in Asia for 3 months, and they didn't realize, like, "Lisa, you're working really weird hours. Where are you right now?" It's like, "I've been in Japan for 6 weeks." So, like, "Oh." Like, that's how little they cared about me. And now it's like I'm in a place where people really care about you, and it really realizes like, yeah, I got to this place because I made myself vulnerable to ask for help or advice. I mean, you just have to expect people to not be, like they're too busy to give you feedback or whatever, but just getting yourself out there is really important.
hmm I think you
Great
nailed it.
lesson of the day.
Yeah, this got surprisingly poignant. I love it.
Yeah, I think it's 2 IPAs in might have helped. Well, anyways, this is the end of our stream, Brian. I'm really happy that we got to hang out together. I am so happy you got to be on the show. I'm sad that I didn't get through any of my interview questions, but you know what? It doesn't matter. We're just
Good.
hanging
I
out,
don't need to be interviewed. I just like hanging out. That's
having a
it.
good time. For anyone who is watching, I hope that was some inspiring closing thoughts. I hope you guys want to know how to make kimchi or whatever, like whatever you learned from the stream.
I
I
want to know how to
hope,
make kimchi. Send me your
right?
recipe.
I'll send you my recipe. There you go. Anyways, shout out to Elysian for providing us the awesome beer. And Brian, if you are ever in town for Seattle for PAX or whatever, you got to hit up the Elysian pubs because they're amazing. They have all their beer that you can't even buy in store, like all the shit, and they have bomb ass food too.
Yeah, the habanero, because they're
They might, I don't know,
we're
if Legion,
planting that seed.
if
We're
you're
planting that habanero plant. It's gonna
I'm
grow into a tree. They're gonna cut that tree and make a beer out of it,
I
just
am
for us.
gonna go to their Elysian event next month, and if they have the habanero beer, I'll write a letter to the CEO to tell them to fucking give that out for us to
Clip
buy.
clip out
Okay.
clip out the video from this stream where we shot an infomercial for it, and I
Yeah,
was like,
exactly.
the
Just a
habanero
haban
beer. This is great, but we want the habanero.
featuring the wet bandits from Home Alone. Just start. I had to add that in. Anyways, Brian, you're a wonderful guest. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy
Of
schedule to
course.
be here. If you guys are not following Brian and I on all the socials, you are both Brian Altano and Agent Bizzle on everything. And also Elysian Brewing on all their socials as well, ElysianBrewing.com if you want to learn more about their beer, all that good stuff. Anyways, wonderful stream. Thank you everyone for joining us, and have a good rest of your night, and see you in a couple weeks.
Good night, and thank you, Lisa, for having me. This was a blast.
Yay!